And what is going on, everybody? That is what I tried to do last stream. If you tuned in and witnessed the catastrophic failure of an intro that I had going on, I apologize again for that, but we are on the business tonight. And tonight's guest is nobody other than my man from GP Snakes, Gershon Porter. Uh, this guy is responsible for me even pushing to do the podcast, pushing me back into YouTube. Been a great friend and just supporter of you getting on your grind and getting out there and doing something about it. He wants to see what you got, and he's always been a fan of anybody who puts something out there. Great guy. So I want you all to welcome Gershon onto the stream. What's going on, brother?
What's up, everybody? I was on mute. I didn't realize it. Thanks for the kind words, man. I appreciate that.
All truth, man.
I was just pushing people to do stuff that I was doing. That's all.
I mean, let's be honest. You made a podcast about this, all right? So your whole podcast is revolved around people who has less than 1,000 followers, roughly, and let's get them pushing to make more YouTube videos or around that nature. So I mean that speaks volume to me.
Appreciate it. I actually did it because people helped me when I didn't have a lot of subscribers, and they promoted my stuff, and I wanted to do that for other people. That's one of the things I love about this community. We do help each other, either in big ways or small ways, and that was my small way to give back to the community. I felt like that's one of the reasons why I did it. I'm glad it's successful at this point. So that's really cool.
Paying it forward, man. That love, passing on love, it does numbers. I'm say what's up to some people here in the chat. Justin, what's going on, man? April, we're actually showing up Facebook comments this feed.
Oh, yeah. See, you got.
Yeah, man.
It wouldn't show up. I seen them in the comments when I was watching it on YouTube. I could see the comments from Facebook, and then I went on Facebook too and looked at it. I think that's really cool that you're doing it on Facebook and YouTube. That's awesome.
Yeah, man. Yeah. You know, I know some people either just don't have YouTube or don't want to get on YouTube. So I have some very strong supporters on my Facebook page and Facebook in general. So that's kind of what pushed me to go ahead and do streaming on there as well. Leka, I think it is Leka, slid in early. First comment, didn't want to miss this one.
Yep.
Thanks for joining us.
Appreciate you coming through. Appreciate you.
Speaking of support, I got my GP Snakes
I didn't even know you had the shirt.
Yeah. I purposely made it cut off so you couldn't see it. We've been backstage cutting it up and chatting before we came on live, and Gershon didn't even know I had a shirt on, but it's all love, man.
I appreciate that so much, man.
No problem.
Like I'm surprised. I need to push my shirts. I barely talk about them, but I do like that people like the idea that I do like visual recessives on different shirts.
I love it.
You got the genetic stripe, which I do every time I get a new snake, new recessive in my collection. I make a new logo to put out on a shirt and whatnot. So look out for that. Something might be happening soon.
Yeah. And see, I kind of felt bad about my logo because I hadn't produced a highway yet, and I didn't own a highway at the time. So putting the highway in my logo was kind of like, but it's like Ultramel Highway is like the all time. You asked me what my dream morph is, but that's top 5. I'm not gonna say it's my dream morph. That's definitely top 5. I couldn't find an Ultramel Highway for my logo, so I just went with the pastel highway, and that worked out great. I like it. So Leka says they don't want to get on Facebook.
I understand that.
And I get that too.
I totally understand that.
I hope I'm not butchering your name. And if you can comment in there, maybe some pronunciation. If I am doing it wrong, that'd be greatly appreciated.
Yes,
April.
For both of us, because I mess up my pronunciation as well. Yeah, we need both of that.
Yeah. So
yeah, I actually started paying attention to my Facebook group maybe like 3-4 months ago. Well, maybe even longer. I didn't realize I had built up a my Facebook page. I didn't realize I built up a fan base on there.
Yeah.
Because I went through this stage where I was posting on Instagram every day, at least one picture every day. And then I
still do that today.
Yeah, true. I kind of slowed down here and there. I'll miss a day here and there, and then I throw up 2 pictures the next day to try to catch up. Yeah. But I started to make it to where I post to Facebook and Instagram at the same time, and my Facebook page just started to grow. I'm almost at 500 followers on my Facebook page, which I think is kind of cool for a page I don't pay attention to. But now I'm gonna start doing stuff on there. Like, so this is exclusive. I might start doing like live feedings on my Facebook page, live streaming feedings. So I might do that, or just live stream cleanings too. I might do that. Something exclusive to Facebook, so you have to go to Facebook to see it if you want that kind of information.
Do you know how Facebook is on that type of stuff?
I am not 100% sure how they are. Yeah. I know a lot of Facebook groups don't want you to share feedings. Yeah. So if it gets my page taken down, then I know I made a mistake and I'll start a new page and don't do feedings, in there. But I put on my Facebook feeding, my YouTube feedings on there. So I don't know. We'll see.
Facebook's weird, man. I posted my available hatchlings to a local group, and there was no price in there, no cash tag or however you say that. It was 1.0, 0.1, and the names of all the morphs, and it literally got flagged to go against Facebook guidelines for selling pets. Now, if somebody reported that, I don't know, but it was like awful quick. Like I'm talking about within a minute or two, and they got taken down. Or, they didn't take it down. It's weird because they kept the post up, but the wording wasn't there, and so it was like a bunch of people were liking it. This guy's just showing off his hatchlings, Yeah,
you got to use code words like not holdbacks or these guys are being evicted. It's little stuff like that.
Looking for a plane ticket.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, guys. So you see it up there on the screen. If you have a question for Gershon, go ahead and ask it in the live chat, and we'll definitely get to it. Other than that, we'll get into it and have a cold-blooded talk. So to start out, man, how did you get into, or what got you into the reptile keeping hobby? Because I know this from the podcast that I did with you. You've kept other species other than ball python, so I can say that you have been a reptile keeper and not just the ball python hobby, right?
Yes. My first reptile was a live lizard I caught. My very first reptile, I caught a lizard outside of my house, kept it in a small tank and fed it crickets. And I had that one for like 2 years. I have no idea what kind of lizard it was. I probably shouldn't have did it that way, but that's how I got into reptiles. And from there, I went to turtles, iguanas, water dragons, and then finally I got my first snake when I moved out the house because my mom didn't like animals with no legs. She was okay with everything as long as it had legs.
All right, nothing slithering.
Exactly.
Okay. It's better than my mom. It was almost nothing at all.
Yeah, that's a hard one. When you
no creepy crawlies.
No pets.
No creepy. Well, I mean, dog. We got a dog eventually, but
okay.
She
did.
Like I said, she's a lot better now, man. She's a lot better now. I mean, of course, she doesn't have say in the word, but I think around like 11 or so, she let me have my first corn snake. But yeah, it was the snake thing. I did the same thing as you, man. I went outside, I caught something, I brought it in, and I put it in a shoe box or just a little container with, minimal. Definitely wasn't the proper environment for the reptile.
True.
But,
True.
Turtles, same thing. Like I said, I used to catch alligators. Crazy.
Yeah, that's
crazy
wild.
stuff.
That you used to catch alligators. Yeah. That's wild.
I swear, man, I was Steve Irwin. That's who I wanted to be when I grew up. That's pretty much all of us. So that got you into the hobby, just kind of catching a little here and there stuff. um,
So
and got you started?
so um about right before I graduated high school, I didn't have any pets. Moved
Right.
out, got my own place, met my wife. I've known my wife the whole way through high school.
That's awesome, man.
Um, we didn't date until way after high school. When we started dating, I said something about a snake, wanting a snake, and she used to have snakes, and then she got me my first actual ball python. His
Yeah.
name was Zuku. He was a male normal, like everybody does. Got a male normal,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that just exploded into what I have in this room now. Um, and she was somewhat supportive in the beginning. She's like, "What are we doing
Yeah.
here? We went from
Yeah.
one to six snakes. What are we doing?"
Right. It's funny. My wife
And I
got my
just
first ball python too. Um,
okay.
I was 21. She was 19 right when we first got together,
Oh.
and I was amazed. I'm gonna tell you because it was like lock it up, put 10 bricks on top of I had a tank, like everybody. I kept in a
Yep.
big
Yep.
55-gallon tank with a red light
Yep.
on it, 24/7, no hide. I think I used
Mm.
uh the bedding from Tractor Supply at one point, and he did great. Well, I called him a he. It was what I named him, but really it was a female. The person I had ended up rehoning him to ended up growing up to like almost 3,000 grams, and
Oh wow.
turned out to be a female. Right, right. So little did I know, I didn't know anything about ball pythons, but
Mm.
growth, growth,
Exactly. That's how
knowledge.
it goes.
One
That's
of the
how it
main
goes.
reasons why I wanted to do this podcast so people have a platform to ask questions from experienced breeders like yourself, learn from our mistakes, and be able to grow. Um, so hopefully, you guys that are tuning in, looks like we've got about 12 people watching. You guys have any
Okay.
questions that you might like Gershon to answer? Please comment those, um, and learn something from this. And if you don't, then hey, enjoy the show, enjoy the talk. Still say what's up to Gershon here, and we'll keep on rolling. So I didn't mean to interrupt you, man. Were you still rolling on that?
Uh, so after she got me my first snake, and then that turned into, so I got a ball python, then I got a green tree python. No, I got a ball
Yep.
python, then a red tail boa, then a green tree python, then an emerald tree boa, and then I got my second ball python, which was a spider, a male spider. Of course, just I loved spider at the time, so I was like, this is the most beautiful snake I ever had. Loved it to death. Um, and then that just started me learning about ball pythons, how they breed, the whole
Right.
cycle and everything, and I just fell in love with them. I also wanted to breed green tree pythons, but I realized they took a lot longer to do
Yeah.
and a lot more space because they need tanks. You need
Yeah.
actual enclosures for them.
Right.
But then that just blew up my fascination, and of course, I did what everybody does nowadays. I went on YouTube and started learning what I was doing and how to breed.
Right. Right. And that was the step that got you going, man.
Yep.
And that was me too. Same way. When I once I broke the YouTube barrier of um, that search bar is unlimitless, and
Mm-hmm.
there are thousands and thousands of videos out there that can teach you stuff. Some may not be so informative, and others may
True.
be so much information you got to watch it twice or three times, right?
Yes.
That was when my wife was like, you've went crazy. Why have you been up every day for the past 6 months till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning and getting back up at 6:30 watching snake videos? I
Yeah.
went
That
from
was me.
hunting videos, and because that's my other passion is hunting, fishing. Right, I am Southern
Okay.
through and through. I love hunting, I love fishing, and that is my other hobby that I'd say I spend the most time doing. Um, but this one has kind of taken the front seat to that because this is a hobby that actually I'm able to not be scrutinized for my spendings, right? Because
Yeah.
man, I'm gonna tell
Yeah.
you, it can go real quick with some fishing gear. You fish or hunt, fish at all, or hunt at
I
all, or any
like
outdoor gear?
fishing. I don't do it as much as I would like to. I'm probably gonna start doing it more with my son. I
Yeah,
don't hunt. I'm not big on guns.
yeah,
Partially, I've not really shot guns, so maybe that is once I get into it, maybe that'll open up a new avenue.
yeah.
I've had a couple of people at work want to take me hunting, and I'm like, maybe down the road.
Yeah.
I'm not
It's not for
opposed
everybody.
to it, but yeah,
Yeah,
I'm not
it's not.
opposed to it because I touch dead rats all the time, so I'm not scared of dead
Yeah,
animals. So
yeah, yeah,
might be something I'll try.
for sure.
My
So,
hobby was cartoons basically.
okay,
I was a big cartoon kid, so I was in the house watching cartoons all the time.
right.
But you're right, things that fishing equipment and hunting equipment gets expensive real fast,
It piles
real
up quick,
fast.
real quick. Hold on 1 second. My computer's about to die. I forgot to plug it up. Hold on. I'm sorry
Go
guys.
ahead, go
Gershon, if
ahead.
you want to answer this question from Gary, I'd appreciate it.
So I would say
It's hypothetical. You don't really have to. He's messing around here, man. He just had his first clutch, but he's a trip.
I have a couple of friends that we literally dogged one of our friends because he kept calling himself a breeder, and we was like, "You ain't never had a clutch yet, bruh. You got to have a clutch first before you can call yourself a breeder." Now I say you have to have a clutch and sell a baby to another person before you call yourself a legitimate breeder. I'm just throwing it out there. That's my
Whew.
definition.
I cut that
100%.
close, man. I'm sorry, guys. I was on 6%. That was, man. I
You gotta
almost
make
made
a
it to
checklist.
the whole one without a single mess up, man. It was going good, but oh well.
You
Yeah.
gotta have a
Hey,
checklist.
so I heard you there. You said to produce a clutch and sell a baby, and then that's a legitimate breeder
That's what
in
I
your
would say
eyes.
a legitimate breeder would be. Um, either way, if it's whatever species it is,
Right.
lizards, ball pythons, gerbils. What are those things with the spikes? Not hamsters,
Hedgehogs.
hedgehogs.
Yep.
You got to produce them yourself from
Yep.
ones you bred and sell it. That makes
Right.
you a legitimate breeder in my eyes. I might get a little pushback on that later on,
Hey,
but
that's your opinion, brother, and you're entitled to it. And the thing about it is that it makes sense, right? Because you're saying that so let's say what makes you a manufacturer. Well, first you have to have a base product, make it, and then sell it. You're a manufacturer.
mm-hmm,
So that
mm-hmm,
logic makes perfect sense to me. Um, I feel like at this point, as long as he hatches the eggs and they are, viable snakes, and if he doesn't sell a
mm-hmm.
single one, he's a breeder because technically he bred them.
Yep.
If he keeps every one of them, but in a business standpoint, I agree with you 100%. You cannot say that you are a facilitated, organized breeder until you have sold your first baby.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion as well, I agree with you. I agree with
Yep.
you. So we missed some comments here, trying to answer Gary's question there. But ridiculous reptiles is in here. Hello, everyone.
What's up?
Uh,
What's up, ridiculous? Oh, I had a phone
April.
call. That was me.
Okay, I was like, dang, what's going on? Not
I
again.
see your eyes
Not
get super
again.
big.
April
Nah, my
says
phone rang.
ball pythons get real expensive. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they do.
I think
Uh,
everybody will agree with that statement. That is true.
yeah.
So this is a buddy of mine, Larry. He says he
Okay.
got his first boa. He loves them. Dropped by my house. I had to show him off. Glad for the friendship. Awesome knowledge Ramel shared. I appreciate it, brother. Appreciate the kind words. Like I said before, I don't know it all, but if I know it, then you know it as long as you ask.
Yep.
Another good friend of mine, Nick, said he picked up a female from a reptile expo not too long ago. Today, heard her slightly wheezing. I'm glad he brought this up. I don't see
Okay.
any mucus or anything when I checked her, but I've yet to deal with an RI. Suppose my question is, what should my first course of action be? I'll let you
Oh
take this,
wow.
Rashawn, if you
Oh,
feel up to it.
so I'm giving my opinion on my experience.
Yeah.
Uh, I would say set up a vet appointment. That's first thing. Set up a vet appointment just to get that snake checked out by a certified vet. Try to find a reptile vet if you can, because not all vets are reptile experts, are reptile equipped, know enough about reptiles. But while you're waiting to get that set up, bump up that snake's temperature a little bit. That heat will help burn off any infection uh, in the time period of you getting to the vet and knowing 100% it is a respiratory infection. Then you have to find out if it's a bacteria one or if it's a viral one. I've only had to deal with a bacteria one, I believe, to where they give you medicine. I do have, I always pronounce it weird, Tynan, or how do you pronounce it? Thailand. I use
Thailand. Yep.
Thailand.
Yep.
I use
200.
that when I know it's a RI infection. I wouldn't recommend people immediately go to that, especially if you're not experiencing giving your snake a shot. Yep. I've been experienced with giving my snake shots, so that's why I do it. I'm not recommending that for everyone. That is a solution if you're comfortable with that. But most of all, take your snake to the vet. It can get a little pricey. I know we're trying to be on a budget, save money. I get that. But that vet visit might be imperative to let you know what's going on with your animal and could save your animal's life.
I agree. Great input there, man. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
I agree with everything he said. Definitely, man. You know, we talked about this on my first podcast with Rob. It's hard to really know where that point is where you have to say, this is out of my hands. I got to take it to the vet. And I'm one of them people, and I will not push my beliefs on anybody else. Who I try to do myself, treat myself, and I try to do my research myself, and I try to do everything to myself before I ever am like, okay, I got to take it to the vet. Luckily, I've not had a snake get sick enough that I needed to take him to the vet. The closest thing that I've got to that is my friend on here, just went mind blank. April and Marty Prather. We had a split clutch. I spoke about this last podcast. And the
was
female
that the pastel ghost?
Yep. Well, she's just a ghost, 100% head caramel albino. Okay. And that was the big show off of my. I don't know what he is now. It's supposed to be a proven super pastel ghost male. I mean, it's really thrown me for a loop. But they were, I mean, on the ball. It was. She was egg bound. The next day, I'm getting a message from her. Yeah, we're taking her to the vet. You know, she didn't pass the eggs. We had soaked her. She passed one egg, and then she ended up having another one. It was just too large. So in that juncture, there was nothing that we really could have done to get her to pass that egg. But we would have never known had they not taken her to the vet. So it's a fine line on when to take them, and I don't think anybody really can tell you unless they've just been around ball pythons just so long that they know, oh yeah, there's nothing you can do at this point. You need to have a specific prescription, you know.
And that only comes with experience. Yeah.
Nick said, "Thank you so much." By the way, vet it is. Appreciate your input.
No problem. Hope everything works out, man.
Another question for you, there, man. April says, "What's your favorite morph?"
Oh, so my favorite morph is Inchy. Like, I fell in love with Inchy. Yeah. I saw Ralph Davis, one of his Inchies, and I was like, that thing is beautiful. So I'm trying to put Inchy in everything I produce.
Right.
I say it looks better with Inchy. Yeah, I just like the single gene Inchy. I love the super Inchies as well, but the Inchy is what got me super excited about ball pythons. Inchy, and then close second is albino. I just love the colors of albino. I'm always gonna work with albino in one way or another.
Yeah, I love albinos too, man. And I try to pick morphs that make my wife go, "Ooh, that's nice."
Yeah,
and it doesn't do it for her, man. I don't know what it is. I'm like, "What do you mean? That is nice. What are you talking about?" You know. Even like some Candino stuff. Like I showed her acid Candino that Jay Rules, you know who I'm talking about? Jay Rules. He discovered the acid gene.
J Rules. Maybe. I am horrible with
Jensen Rules, I
names.
believe is his first name. But you know the acid gene, right?
Yeah, I know the acid
Okay,
gene.
when you
Yeah.
get some time, look up who discovered the acid gene. His business name is J Royals, and he produced the Candino leopard acid or acid leopard acid Candino leopard. I don't know if you're supposed to put them in alphabetical order or not. We're not gonna get that specific,
Yeah.
but
So there's this thing that happened like maybe 2, 3 years ago when you used to tell people what you're pairing. It used to go male then female.
right,
Like
that's
you
what I
like
do
what's the
now.
pairing? But
Yeah,
now I've seen people do female then male when they tell you
really.
what the pairing, and I'm like, what
Hmm.
are we doing? Why are we changing this all of a sudden? I don't know
Yeah,
what happened. Somebody had a meeting or something and said we're changing it for fun.
they left us out, man. Do you do male than female?
I do male and female, like that's how I do it, because
Yeah,
so
yeah,
the females always last.
yeah,
It's just the way I
yeah.
did it.
That's the way I've done it. That's because that's the way I've always seen it. Um,
Exactly.
So Flex and Python says, "How's it going, y'all? What's going on, brother?"
What's up, Flex and Pythons?
Ridiculous Reptiles said my first two clutches were all holdbacks. Didn't sell any in my first hatchlings to my third clutch. He produced. That's
Okay,
that's that's awesome.
that's
I
smart. I wish I did that. I sold a clown female that was beautiful that I should have held on to because she would be breeding right now. But she went to a good friend, Splash Pack Reptiles, Keisha. She has her doing
you
great
get
over there. But
you getting her
yeah,
on the
for sure.
podcast, right?
I am working on it. I'm
Man,
working on it.
every corner I turn, I hear Splash Pack's got some heat. Splash Pack, and
She
I'm
man,
all right.
she been over there quietly just adding genes. Just oh wow.
Yeah, ridiculous. Help me out here is Josh Jensen from J Royals. Appreciate
Okay,
that,
I'm gonna
man.
have to check him out.
Letka says make albinos great again. All right, albinos has always been great. Listen, nobody's doubting that albinos are great except for my wife and maybe like three other people. But that's just because she feels like it's just white and yellow. Like she likes something different, that's like burn your eye sockets off bright, and I'm okay with that, right? Because that's what I want to get to. And that's what I feel like is gonna get her to hold a snake. So she's like
Yep.
motivation to me. I'm like, I'm gonna make something so cold blooded. You're gonna be like, ooh, let me hold it. She won't hold snakes. Is your wife handle the snakes at all? Help you clean or
Not at
anything like
all.
that?
She don't help
Not
me
at all.
clean. My
That's all
son
right.
comes down and holds a snake here and there, but nah.
Yeah.
My wife's like, "That's your thing. Go ahead and do that. Make sure you spend time with us, though. But that's your thing."
Right. Right. Yeah, man. Splitting up your division of time is everything. I've learned to kind of balance it fairly good here lately. I was actually just
I'm
talking
still
about that
learning.
to my wife last night, man. It's a fine balance. Fine
Still
balance.
learning. I have times where I'll stay upstairs the whole week, and my wife's like, "Why are you here? Don't you got something to do?" I was like, "Wait a
Yeah.
minute. You just told me I was downstairs too much, and now I'm
Yeah.
upstairs too much. You got to make up your mind, woman."
Man, your wife would get along just fine with mine because she's same way. She's like, "Don't you got clean rats?" And I'm like, "Shut up! I don't. God,
I was trying to
look,
lay next to
I
you.
was just trying to chill for a little bit, But it's good though to keep it on our toes.
Yep. Yep.
They they
Yep.
they sometimes, man, especially when they really and true cold heartedly love you, they see stuff in you that you don't see in yourself, right?
Yep.
And that's the great thing about having a soulmate and a wife is pushing you to your limits. I'm gonna tell you right now, even though my wife is not the face of Morph Nation, I wouldn't be anywhere without her because she pushes me to be the best that
Okay.
I can in this. Even when I think that I'm doing the best.
Yep.
Uh,
My wife, she does hit me with that. You could do that better.
yeah,
You need to
yeah,
clean your face up. You need
yeah,
to look presentable.
bro. Golly, look, man. I'm telling you, same thing, man. She was like, "You gonna clean your face up?" But I was telling you, I was doing the video pulling the clutch, and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I guess." Ain't like I can
Yep.
grow a beard anyway. I would just be able to just laser surgery it off. Patrick Sanders says, "What's up, homies? What's going on, brother?"
What's up? What's up, Patrick? Patrick be supporting.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know he don't want to hear it, but Patrick be supported, and I greatly appreciate it. He be on every comment, every video, every Instagram post. Appreciate it. Everybody, stop what you're doing. Go make sure you
Yep.
follow him on his Instagram. Patrick, put your Instagram in there. I don't know what it is off the top of my head
Put it up there,
because it's
man. I'll
not
I'll put it on
Patrick,
the screen.
but he be supporting big time, and I appreciate it so much. Like he be saying some positive stuff to make you like, you know what? I am making a difference out here. People do
Yeah.
see me. Let me keep going.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need that every so often.
Yeah, man.
And I
I mean,
appreciate it.
I've always really appreciated the love that some people give. You know, it's like I don't want to mess his last name up, but I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. Elias literally likes and
Oh
comments on
yeah,
everybody's
yeah,
Instagram post.
yeah,
That
yeah,
dude's
yeah,
insane. I mean, I see he will comment on everybody's photo. And it may be
yeah.
something just simple like nice, sweet photo, you know, but
Exactly.
it doesn't go unseen, man. And
It
that's
doesn't. I appreciate it every time.
so Christina says she adores albinos, but really loves the clown. So you may be in luck because Gershon's hitting the albino clown this season.
Yes,
This
I am.
season,
Yes,
it's
I
gonna happen.
am. Like I'm speaking that into existence.
Yeah,
I'm gonna hit it this season. I actually got the girl that should be the one that gives me albino clowns. She's about 10 days away from dropping her clutch. If so, let me ask you this. Has your
but
girls been dropping later in the season? Like not at 30 days, at like day 40?
so you know what's crazy, man, is it there hit like a time there where everybody was either early or on time, and then it started to
Okay.
get like that. And I can't.
Uh,
I want to say it was after mid May, the end of
okay.
like I don't know if it was. I don't know, man. I don't know what that was about, but it did seem like there started to be some that were going later. Like just today, that girl was 4 days late, 3 or 4 days
Okay.
late. So and that hasn't happened to me very many times. I almost start
Mm.
getting worried, and I know people who are like, "Yeah, I'm like day 47," and I'm like,
Yeah, I'm on day
"Shoo."
50. I'm on day
Really?
50 with an
What's what
inchy
what inches?
het albino. She was paired to a clown het albino. I'm on day 50 and I am very worried.
Yeah,
Um, I was
man.
told if she hits day 60, then take
Yeah,
her to the vet. So I'm gonna give her a couple more days and see, but I'm ready to go to the vet if I need to because
right.
I am worried about her.
Yeah. There's Patrick Sanders Saunders, I'm
Uh,
sorry. Uh information there. Is that a IG or I
I
guess that'd
think
be
that's his
yeah, Instagram.
Instagram. Yeah.
Okay. So y'all go over and give him a follow and a like. And while you're at it, go ahead and give Gershon over at GP Snakes everything. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. You on TikTok, ain't you too now?
I'm on
Right?
TikTok as well.
Is it GP
Yes.
Snakes?
Yep. GP
Yep.
Snakes. I actually
Okay.
actually just signed up for Twitter under GP Snakes too.
Man,
I'm just hitting it everywhere.
I,
I
I can dig
realize
it.
it's a brand,
I can
so
dig
I
it.
need to make sure I have it locked in.
Yeah. I just don't know how to tweet. I don't know. I don't
I
get
don't
Twitter.
either.
I don't
100% don't get it.
never have. I had one at one point, and I'm just like, man, it uh, like
100% don't understand it, but I'm locked
like
in.
famous people are the only people that I've ever been like, oh yeah, this tweet's going crazy, and I'm like, okay. I mean, you can't watch nothing. You're literally gonna read a comment. It don't even got a photo with it.
Yeah.
Can you
They
put a
got they
photo
got
with it?
videos on there now. You can put
Okay, okay.
videos on there and stuff like
Man,
that.
I'm old
So
school
it's
Twitter.
basically Instagram with a little more words,
Yeah.
basically.
One
That's
thing
what
I
it
wish
is.
Instagram did have is able to photo comment. That would be
Okay.
nice. That would be nice. So Ross is in here. He says, "What's going on? What's going on,
What's
brother?"
up?
Got Joe in here. Said, "Do you both have the original snake that started your business and love for pythons?" I'll let you answer this first.
I actually don't have that
I think
original snake.
I think that's kind of two questions though, man, because the snake that started my love for pythons or in snakes in general, no, and but the snake that started my business, yes,
Oh, okay. Yeah, when you think of it that way.
because we both had normals, but that doesn't
Yeah.
mean that's the snake that started your business or the one that started your love for snakes, right? or
True.
pythons in general?
Um, I would say no on both fronts.
Yeah.
I think I've sold the one that started my business. I think I've sold him. Uh, yeah, I even sold the first normal female I had that produced my first clutch. I sold her, but I have the female from that clutch. I can actually show her.
You got a
This is the
baby?
first
Yeah.
albino. I mean, inchy girl. Come on, girl, stop being difficult.
Oh, there's some trust right there. I'm telling you, ball pythons
Oh
are
no.
not mean, but that's some trust. I don't got very many females. I'm a blindly go in like that. All my boas are like that. I've told people time and time again, I will set my boas on the floor if my wife will let me, and set my baby, my 10-month-old, on the floor right beside him, and I
Oh
know they ain't gonna
really?
bite them. Yeah, and I can go in
Oh
blind. But some of
wow.
these females back here, I gotta see. Let's look at each other real quick. Let me see what type of mood you in. Okay, all right, I'm coming in
Okay,
after you.
yep. I gotta see you first.
So, but
So
that's some
this
trust right there,
is
bro.
the first baby I produced from a pairing. It was a
Okay.
inchy to a normal female, and the inchy I had was like super banded, no spots on it, and I was trying to reproduce him in a female. And the closest I got with this girl was she has 3 spots. One right there,
Yeah.
one right there.
Are you talking about as far as like the
This
keyholes
little well, I don't even know if they're keyholes because I'm not saying
inside of
I'm
the
an
heads?
expert, but they're just like spots. Oh, I just pulled my headphones out.
Are
Just
they
little
solid
spots.
black?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know if those would be keyholes or not. So you can see that one right there, camera. That
Yeah.
spot right there.
Yeah.
So other than that, she's pretty much banded all over. So this is the first baby I produced and
Okay.
held her back. She'll probably
Okay.
stay in the collection um for the rest of her life.
Yeah.
I probably won't let her go.
About
She'll be
25,
a
30 years.
keepsakes.
Y'all
Yeah.
don't know if it, so this is mainly let's see. Joe's about the only person I see in here that I don't know for sure is into snakes. He's a
Okay.
hunting buddy of mine, showing his support and asking questions. He was doing the same thing in other podcasts, and I appreciate that, Joe. And this is one way for us to get our knowledge and love for reptiles, snakes, ball pythons, whatever it might be, into other people's hands, because a lot of people are like, every only good snake is a dead snake, and
Yeah.
it's an unfortunate mindset. But
Yeah.
man, they live for a long time.
They do.
Most snakes, most reptiles live for quite a while, except for some of your smaller frogs, stuff like that.
Hmm.
Um, April says it's a nice snake as well. Joe
Thank
said that
you.
was a
Thank
beautiful
you.
snake.
Oh,
So
I
we got
forgot to
another
tell you guys her name. Her name is Boma. Um,
Boma. Okay.
I did this thing where what is it? Maybe 3-4 years ago,
Yeah.
I decided to start naming my snakes, but the way I did it, I made it pretty unique to me because I'm a
Yeah.
big cartoon and anime fan, so I use
Yeah.
anime and cartoon names. But
Yeah.
then I went to my subscribers and had them vote on which name they wanted for that animal. It's
Yeah.
a little segment on my channel called "Name My
Yep.
Snake."
Name the snakes. Yep. I watch
That
it.
way I can get them involved in it and get some interaction with them. I thought it was a cool way. And it's going really good. People really seem to like it.
Yeah, yeah. I have to say, man, you have some of the most unique names that I have ever
Thank
came
you.
across, and it's like pulling teeth with my kids to get them to help me think of names. And kids are like the most creative ever, right? It's like,
Exactly.
hey, come up with a name for me, female, and 3 days later, I can't think of nothing, Dad. And I'm like, come on now. Yeah, I'll talk my head off for 5 minutes about some Fortnite and some videos, YouTube videos y'all watch. Y'all can't come up with a simple name. Most of my names, like people have in their collection. I've tried to come up
Uh-huh.
with unique names, but it's hard, man. So
I mean, it's
kudos
right
to
there.
you.
My names is just right there. There's just be shows I like. Like if it's a
Yeah,
show I'm really rocking with at that moment, I'll try to pick names from that show, and I try to make it match that snake's personality a little bit. If
right,
I know they're kind of a dick, I try to give them a character that's kind of a bad boy kind of character or a bad girl kind of character. So
right.
it goes a little more in detail with why I picked those names for people to choose and vote for.
Yeah. and that's cool, man. That's not only good content, but that's a cool theme.
Yep.
It involves it's just like this. Like every single person in here, like we're all having a conversation. And you guys wanted to ask anything to Gershon, you can ask it up here. We'll put it up on the screen and you're able to get your questions asked. So, it's interactive and it's not just,
Mm-hmm.
one dimensional. Um
Exactly.
I missed a question
Side
up here.
note,
Go ahead.
April, I see you got an albino clown, albino het clown. Why you in my project? Get out of my project. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. That is awesome. I would love to see Flo, see if she breathes. And what are you gonna put her to? What are you gonna put to her?
So,
You gonna put a visual, a
so this is a
full
good.
visual albino clown, or what are you gonna put? Put it down in the comments.
Yeah, yeah. We like to know that. This is her and her husband are good friends of mine. I know I've said
Okay.
this a couple times, but this is the one we had the split clutch with, and she had the ghost female that got
Okay.
egg bound. All right, they've got some nice snakes, some really nice snakes, and they're
Yeah.
building. They're actually in the progress. Hopefully, I'm not speaking out of turn, but they're building their reptile room. I don't think that
Oh, okay.
they've not told me to keep it on the hush hush. So they're in the works of getting to the point of being able to feel like they can just go out on all the social medias and I was kind of the same way. Like I was afraid to really post anything until I had all my ducks in a row, kind of thing. And I encourage them just like you've encouraged me. It doesn't matter if you don't have a perfect front right now. Just start posting stuff. People love to see that you come up from this because that's where they're at. They don't.
Yeah.
Them watching everybody else that's already got 60 different snakes and 45 different morphs in their collection. They're thinking the same thing that you are. Like, man, I can't wait till I get there. There
Yeah.
is a lot of interest in the come up, and what
Yeah.
happens in between. How do you get
Yeah.
there? So I
That
still
is
encourage
that
you
is my
guys.
biggest thing. I tell people they're also worried like, should I wait till I get a little bigger or get a couple more snakes? I'm like, no, start now. Start immediately because people like to see that growth. They like
Yeah,
to see you slowly develop and slowly grow your hobby and your passion for it. And
yeah,
see, and you also can show them like the mistakes you made, the good things you did, the things that worked for you, the things that didn't work for you.
yeah.
People like to see that. It's a human thing to watch something grow
Absolutely,
and you get fascinated by it. And that's the
absolutely.
best time to show your stuff.
Yep.
Be honest with
So
you.
I didn't know this about Joe. He actually said he had a ball python when he was younger. He had to give him away. Um,
Oh.
Fun fact, I didn't know that. I'm sorry, man. I've been throwing you under the bus like you just don't know what we're talking about. He's like, wait, yeah, I've had a snake. But
I've had it.
so here's
Oh
another question
wow.
for you, man. Christina asks, what other reptiles other than ball pythons have you bred or plan to breed? Now you talked about the green tree pythons and then opted out of that,
Yes.
but anything else?
Um I did want to try emerald tree boas because
Okay.
I fell in love with them, the green and the way they hang.
Yeah.
And they have a couple different patterns. They have some ones that have these diamonds on them. I know
Yeah.
they're called something Pacific too. I can't remember that name. But I wanted to breed them at a point in time. I wanted to breed sand boas because I fell in love with them, the way they dig in the sand. I wanted to breed them as well. But then I
Yeah.
realized that could get out of hand real fast. All these things that I wanted to breed.
Yeah.
So once I get more established with the ball pythons and they literally start paying for, the facility, and I would like to build a facility, side note, paying for themselves, and it's funding itself as a business and is taken care of, I might branch out into green trees or emerald tree boas and
Yeah.
dabble with that a little bit, just because that's more of a passion too to try once
Yeah.
I get it. Not saying I would go big with it, but I might do like 2 litters of those just to go through that process.
Yeah. I definitely think that they're beautiful creatures, the green trees and the emerald trees. And I want one of the Biox box. I don't know how you pronounce it.
Biox, yeah.
Biox, man. Them
That's
things are really
actually
nice.
supposed to be the most aggressive species of green tree pythons is the
Really?
Biox.
Ah,
Yeah.
man.
They yeah. I had a
Never
Biox
mind.
and
Never
he
mind.
was a dick.
Yeah.
But once I worked with him and got him to calm down, so get a better temperament with
Yeah.
working with them and handling them slowly. But they're
Yeah.
supposed to be the more aggressive species of green tree pythons.
I got you. Um, just to answer this question myself, I do have a couple other species, and I am breeding them. I have a Dumerose boa pair, and I bred them, and I'm like 98% sure that she's gravid. She has
Oh,
never been on the heat. Never. I don't post them a lot. I don't post any of my boas a lot, really, because they're more like them are for me, right? I don't. I don't
I
really
understand.
care too much who knows, and like I mean the ball pythons are for me too, but like um I've always thought of the boas as like they are my babies, you know, and I do every once in a while show them off, and of course I'm not going to keep every Dumo's baby if she has them. So I did, you know, do a post here and there about her having them. But that was like that's a really exciting project, but at the same time those are ones that I don't want to stress about. So if I pair them, you know, I've got two 7 foot uh BCIs, red tails, and then I've got, you know, my Dumeros boa. She's around 6 foot and some change. Female, my male's 4.5, 5 foot, and then I've
Hmm.
got a small albino. I've literally never posted her. She's a sharp albino boa, and then I've got
Oh,
a hypogranite berm and a reticulated python. Though the berm and retics are both males, and they're just literally like, you know, kind of like my trophies for breeding.
gotcha.
Not trophies literally or pets, but they're like,
Yeah,
you know, when you look and you're like, man, what, you know, what am I doing this for? Because I haven't created my morph yet. You know, I haven't hit the clown albino yet. What do I want to, you know, I haven't hit my ultramel highway. What am I, you know, I want something here now. And I told my wife, I
yeah,
was like, man, I really want a granite hypo berm. And she was like, okay, we'll get one. And I was like,
yeah,
okay. So I got one, and I don't plan on breeding those, but I got the beardies. I'm gonna breed them. I got one pair. I'm gonna breed them, and then I also tried the leopard geckos for my kids. I wanted to have like a kind of like a branch of the business that they could branch off in and be able to have
hmm,
something that they can handle by themselves, and like me sit back and like, hey, what are you gonna do? And you know what that turned into? Them beardy dragon freaks. Like my youngest took that and ran, and I'm telling you, that's not. I don't know if you've seen a video I put out for, or he did. I literally just edited. I
I seen that
hit
one.
record,
Yeah,
and he did it. And I was blown away
he was
at
good
the
on
knowledge.
camera.
Yeah,
He
man,
was
I
real
was
good on
really
camera.
impressed, really impressed. So they have three bearded dragons, and I think that they have a male and a female they're gonna put together. And then my youngest son, he just has a male. He's just, you know, he's just raising up.
Okay.
Another good question here that Kimberly Southall asked. Why did you choose to breed pythons versus boas? I guess that kind
Um,
of goes in hand to hand with what you just asked a little bit.
kinda, yeah. Um, honestly, for me, pythons kind of just happened first.
Yeah,
I just was able to breed ball pythons first. Because with green tree pythons, you have to wait till they become adults to find out what sex they are.
right.
So you can buy a couple of them, and then you can end up with just all males, which sucks. So unless you buy proven males or proven females, which get really expensive,
Oh yeah,
you're going the slow route and you're hoping you got a female.
yeah,
Um, so and then I was still learning about them. They're not a hard species to take care of, but they're not as durable as ball pythons. Like
right.
you necessarily have to get their enclosure correctly, set up correctly. You can have a little fault in it here and there, but anything drastic, you can lose that animal real quick.
Yeah,
Real quick,
yeah, yeah.
unfortunately.
You know, I think there's a lot of species that like that, but people don't
Hmm.
really realize. And it's no, you know, the knowledge is out there. Sometimes it's hard to find,
True.
but there's a lot of hardy snakes, and I think that sometimes people mistake. You know, you always hear it's like these people say, "Well, they've always been together," or it does fine, and I've had it on this bedding, I've had it underneath this light, or I've had it this, and I've had it that. You know, it's what it's always known, and I don't want to change it. And that's just not the way. to grow. It's not the way
Yeah.
that you want to be. You always want to be, and I'm to this day I'm still like that. I have several people in here watching that have asked me many of questions. I'm never going to tell them something I wouldn't do myself, or never going to tell them something that I don't believe in. But I too have learned that from somebody else, or multiple people, and kind of collectively came together with my own, research by, watching different of the people, how they do it or mess up, and making mistakes myself. So
Mm-hmm.
um, it's definitely a growing craft and hobby, and you never need to have closed ears. Always
Yep.
have them open. Uh,
So speaking on that whole they always been together thing, I
yeah.
sold an albino het clown to a lady. She
Okay.
sent me pictures showing that she had snakes and she knew how to take care of snakes. But she tricked me in the pictures where she showed the one snake on one side of the cage.
Right.
She didn't tell me she had two other snakes in there. And then
Man.
when I asked her how the snake was doing, she sent me a video of the snake eating, and she was feeding all the snakes in the same enclosure. She had a boa, she had two ball pythons in there, and I think
Wow.
she had a sand boa in there as well.
All in the
And
same enclosure.
all in the same enclosure, which was dirty and had broken glass in there too. So
Oh
one of the
man.
bulbs had busted. And I was like, what are you doing? You can't have them, for one, living together. Secondly, why are you feeding them together?
Yeah.
You need to They need to have their own enclosures.
Yeah.
I did my best to try to explain why. And that was the last time I heard from her because she never responded back to me.
Yeah.
No matter how
I
many times I checked up on her.
Yeah, man. I definitely will agree with anyone in saying that there is more than one way to do it right. There's a
True.
thousand different ways to do it wrong,
So
and
many.
a lot of times when you have two, three people telling you, like, hey, you need to fix that, it's probably wrong.
Yeah.
Um, and it's like the whole feeding inside or outside your enclosure thing. It's like I tell people all the time, like, I'm like, it's not wrong. It's just unnecessary. Like, you don't have to do it. I've got 7-foot snakes. I don't have to feed them outside their enclosure. I've got 70 ball pythons. I don't have to feed them outside their enclosure. None of them are gonna think that because I'm coming in and I don't have food that they're gonna strike me. There's different, there's ways around that. And I've always told people, I'm like, so what makes you think that if you take them out to feed, what makes you think that when you take them out to handle, they won't think that it's feeding? I mean,
Exactly.
it doesn't make sense to me
The
at all.
reason of why people felt they needed to do that, that theory has been cracked. That is not real. That doesn't, just because you feed your snake in their enclosure, it doesn't make them cage aggressive. That was
Yeah,
the whole reason people were doing it, because they felt it made them cage aggressive. So when you took them out of their cage, they calmed down and they weren't aggressive in their cage. It doesn't matter. If you have
yeah,
aggressive snake, you have an aggressive snake. You might need to work with it. Um, Feed the snake in its enclosure. It's
yeah.
best not to handle an animal after it's eaten, because you increase the chance of it regurgitating.
Vegetation. Exactly.
And once that starts to happen, it becomes a habit, and that can kill your animal real fast as well.
I boiled it down to Pet Smart, Pet, all these pet shops.
Yeah.
And they do a whole slew. Matter of fact, they got a whole little pamphlet of how not to keep your snake right. And if you want to know, you can get it. They got brochures on every single one of them. And I tell people all the time, no, 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 no. Had a couple come to me and they said they literally told them to feed their sambo outside the enclosure. And I'm like,
Yeah.
no, it's not necessary. And I've never even had a Samboa, man. And they were like so worried about this snake not eating, and they were ready to say, should we just rehome it? So no, let's try a couple
Wow.
things. We'll get it eating,
Yeah.
and then you can decide if it's for you or not. Because we were in here looking at ball pythons, and they were like, oh, I thought they got to like 6-7 foot. These things don't get too unmanageable. I want one of these now. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, just wait.
Mm-hmm.
You'll get multiple. It's not just gonna be the one pet. It's not like the
Yeah.
one dog that you get, and that's the only dog that you have. Trust me. And I got their
It's
snake
gonna
eating.
start.
I've never had a Samboa, and I got their snake eating. All right, so it's kind of universal in some aspects of how you keep the snakes and what you do.
Mm-hmm.
I just applied the basics of what I know about snakes, and it worked
Mm-hmm.
for them. So Gerald Taylor, he runs Doodle Morphs. I don't know if you follow him on Instagram.
I don't, but
You have
I'm
to
gonna start
check
now.
him out. He's got some pretty nice stuff he's hashed out this year. Said he didn't know I did lives. Yeah, man, I just started doing them. Gershon is my second guest, and I appreciate the kind words there. Um, Larry has asked if there are any pairings that you're trying to hit a world's first morph on.
Not at this moment.
Not intentionally.
I like not intentionally, and I don't think I
Right.
have the genes in there to hit a world's first. I do plan on down the road building blocks to possibly hit a world's first down the road. I don't know if I'll get there first because the new wave is double recessive
Yep.
morphs. That is
Yep.
the new wave. And that new wave is going to get quickly taken over by triple recessives and quad recessive morphs.
Yeah.
So that's the way I'm going, working on that. And that is a long term project.
Yeah. For sure. 100%. Um, Patrick said he feeds his in his enclosure and always have.
Yep.
And that's going to be the consensus, man. Most people that I know, especially if you're a breeder, you just don't have time to take out. I mean, even somebody with a small collection, what I consider small, 15, 20 snakes. You know how long that
Mm-hmm.
would take to sit there, take a snake out, put it in a tub, unless you just have 20 tubs just sitting up, lined up against the wall, and then it's like at that point you're seriously stressing them out because by the time you get to that bottom row, I mean, come on, let's think about this. Do you want to be picked up off the couch after you just ate Thanksgiving dinner?
Yeah.
You sitting there
Yeah.
full trying to digest your meal. So
So let me ask you a question because I had a
go ahead.
question from my friend.
Okay.
He asked me, he has about 6 to 7 snakes now, and he
Okay.
was wondering if he should switch to a rack system instead of just tanks.
That's me, man.
Woo.
I'm 100% racks all the way.
Yep.
And it's not just like the space aspect because like if you have a room and you only have you like you're a collector, right? You can
Mm-hmm.
have these wire shelves and you can have PVC enclosures or tanks or whatever you want to do all around the room and be just fine. It's not the space issue, but for me it's a thing of I'm able to control the humidity better and temperature in every single
Yep.
tub. I'm able to be able to feed more consistently with those specific snakes that are like super shy. You know how you
Mm-hmm.
have you realized that like you almost have some that have like a really really shy personality and other ones that you're just like you are the outgoing cool ball python in the group, right? Like you
Exactly.
don't care if I smack you on the face with the rat. And then the other one's like, oh my God, you just hit me in the face. I'm gone. I'm not eating 2 weeks. I cannot believe you
Yep.
touched me. How dare you? You
Did you
know,
blow on me? Nope, not
yeah,
eating.
exactly. You opened the tub way too fast. Hold on, let's try this again next week. I'm not messing with you this week. And that's kind of my thoughts around like the tanks and stuff, man. Is like you may be lucky with a few of them and get them to
Mm-hmm.
where you have no issues. But once you have an issue, and especially if it's the ones that you are, like these are all pets, and you have, and I think I seen somebody up here had comment asking if someone we had emotional connection to any of our animals, and these are those type of situations where you have
Yep.
very few. I love all my snakes, but it's
Mm-hmm.
there's some in here that I would be like heartbroken over. Right, I would be upset over
Yeah.
all of them
Yeah.
happening to any of them, but some of them would be heartbroken.
Yeah.
And so you have a limited collection of snakes, and you're more connected to these snakes, and then you have something as simple or as serious as a really long hunger strike because of something that's going on and you can't quite pinpoint it, and all it is the fact that you moved one of the tanks to where the glare hits just right, and that ball python feels like there's always movement going every time they
Exactly.
so for me, man, rack system is like the best way for ball pythons, point blank
Mm-hmm.
period. Now every snake in my room that can be in an enclosure is in an enclosure. All the boas with no feeding issues are in enclosures. I've got 3 6 foots right here, 4 foots over there. I mean, I don't have them in rack system because they can be in enclosure. It's not to say that I won't eventually move them to rack system, especially if I start breeding the big boa girls. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I do like enjoying seeing them and roughing them out of a big enclosure.
Yeah.
But that's me. I always recommend uh, tubs or some type of setup like that for ball pythons. I've actually been considering doing like a ready go package. Right, I had a lady who messaged me last week, and she messaged me through a tag of a friend of hers that has seen me post about my snakes, um,
Mm-hmm.
and she was like, "Hey, do you have a ball python for my daughter?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's come over and check out some of the hatchlings." And um, she wanted to make something happen that day. Didn't have an
Oh,
enclosure
okay.
ready. Didn't have anything, and
Oh,
I
wow.
don't really like doing that
Mm-hmm.
because I don't know. And she was at PetSmart. She's like, "Yeah, can you FaceTime me? I'm at PetSmart right now. I can get all the stuff." I'm like, "What's your budget?" She's like, "I'm gonna get the stuff, whatever it is that you need." And I'm like, "Look, you at PetSmart,
Wow.
you can spend $500 on a 10-gallon setup for a ball
Exactly.
python. I mean, your water bowl would be $35. So." I said, look, let's get some basic stuff that you'll need there, and then everything else we can get at Lowe's or I have here. And I sold her a heat mat. I sold her a thermostat that I had. I had one of those Inkbird thermostats because I switched all mine over to the Herbstat 6s and 4s
Okay,
and
I see.
Herbstat. I'm
Yeah.
trying to go through Herbstat all through my room.
How
And
you like that?
I love the Herbstat, man. I love them. They're,
Okay.
the proportional dimming thermostats are as accurate as they get. So I,
Yeah.
uh, I definitely love them. But I got her set up, man. And it was a good feeling to know that if she took that tub from here to her house and followed two instructions, put the substrate in and plug it up, that snake would be okay because I'd already programmed
Yeah.
the thermostat. It was a thermostat that I used here. It was set to that specific heat mat, so I knew that once she plugged it up, it was going to be on 90
Go
degree hot
right
spot
off.
or 89. So that was kind of nice. And I've done similar. I had another girl early in the year. She was a young girl, probably around 10. I think she had just turned 11 years old, maybe 12. I can't remember. But her dad actually set it up to where he had me get an enclosure ready for her. I set it up with a ceramic heat emitter. It was a PVC enclosure, ceramic heat emitter, the whole nine. Thermostat set up to where he just literally took it from my
Mm-hmm.
house from the shop to their house, plugged it in. There was no way that they could go wrong.
Okay.
And
Okay.
it was a great feeling knowing that they were going to be completely set up.
That's
Leica says
nice.
absolutely a rack is a must. So what's your feelings on that? Do you agree or
Yeah, 100%. What's up, Samson? See you in here. Appreciate you coming through. That's one of my homeboys.
okay?
Um,
Is that 403 final?
so no, Samson, just one
Just
more
just more
exotics.
exotics.
Yeah, I always
Okay.
he I told him he gotta shorten that name. It's so hard to say the whole thing sometimes.
Yeah.
But no,
J
yeah.
Moore. Jamor. I don't want to do that abbreviation. J.O. Joan.
That hey,
Just
it
say
might be a way to go, Samson. Think about it. But yeah, I was like, yeah, if you plan what he did, plan to breed snakes and produce animals, you need to go ahead and get a rack right now. Get it set up, get on top of that, get used to it. You're gonna save yourself a lot of time. J1 me. I like that. You're gonna save yourself a lot of time cleaning,
yeah.
feeding. You're getting a better feeding response for your animals because they'll feel more comfortable not having to glare when people walk by and being in a closed space, being dark. It is definitely a better way to go to get a I won't say healthier animal, but an animal that will produce and breed for you better. I think is the best way. Don't get me wrong. I know there's some people that still have huge enclosures for their animals and they breed them. So make sure you do what works for you. But since you're breeding and you're scaling up, a rack system is the best way for you to go with that.
Yeah. Most definitely. Larry says he's going to be building a melamine enclosure next week for his boas. Is there any certain thing that should be applied to inside of the enclosure to ensure no molding or damage to the enclosure? You know much about melamine? You got any melamine
Don't do
racks?
it.
Yeah.
Them melamine racks are heavy.
Yeah, but he's doing an
Heavy.
enclosure. But I mean, the same thing applies. Matter of fact, I mean, I'd almost feel like an enclosure. I'm assuming you're going to do like a 6 foot, Larry. We had
Yeah.
talked about this. He kind of came in and looked at my PVC. So I've got three PVC 6 foot enclosures stacked on top of each other, and they're 3/4 inch because I wanted
Okay.
thicker where they're 6 foot. There's no bowing
Mhm.
in them or anything like that, but PVC is like $250 a sheet right now, 4x8. I had to drive to Tennessee to get that.
Yeah.
It was a little drive, but I got a better deal on it. But you were saying no to the melamine. Don't
I
do it.
would, me myself, melamine is heavy.
Yeah, super
Uh,
heavy.
this is something you're going to need to clean often.
Yeah,
Melamine is heavy and it's prone to molding, even when you spray it down and seal coat it and all that good stuff.
yeah,
PVC, not very moldable. You have
yeah,
a better chance of that not molding. If you can, I would say do a PVC rack. If you have to do melamine, do what you can. I mean, I don't work with melamine anymore at all, just because
yeah,
how heavy it is and how it can mold, and it is easy to break. It breaks very easy. It is
yeah,
strong wood, but it's not durable, to be
yeah.
honest.
I've got
Uh,
one melamine rack left in this room, and I cannot wait to get rid of it. But it's
yeah.
my Hashland rack, right here,
Okay.
and it's actually the what do you call it? Like the regular sheets of wood on the side. What's the word I'm
Okay.
thinking of? Plywood. Plywood. It's plywood on the
Plywood.
side,
Okay, so you
and
did it
it's
that way. Okay.
melamine sheets.
Of
Right. I
melamine
actually didn't build it. I
shells.
bought it that way.
Okay.
But it's okay. But I don't want to get rid of it until I go to ARS. Like
Yeah.
I've done that a couple of times. Like where I've went from like crappy melamine to better melamine to even better melamine to PVC to ARS, and I just don't want to do that no more. I'm like, okay, this is working for me because it's Hatchlands. They're on back heat. I don't have any issues with them. Sometimes they're only in there
Mm-hmm.
for a short period because if I'm keeping them, they're going in the whole back rack, which is PVC, or if they're selling,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, stuff's been flying off the shelves, man,
I
flying off the shelves.
congrats, man! You killing
Thanks,
that
man.
10th clutch this season
Yes,
already.
sir. Double
How many
digits,
more
double digits.
clutches you think you gonna
So
have?
So I got one for sure. One
Okay.
more. I got a Mojave female that ovulated the end of June. Yeah, the end of June. So that is I believe it's the last clutch. I got a super Mojave girl that has literally been cooling since November. I mean, she
Oh
has not went
wow.
on eat. And she's been eating. She went off food for about a month. She went back on food. I don't know what she's doing. I mean,
Mm.
at this point, she's almost like 3,000 grams. So I don't know, man. How about
I
you? Where are you at on clutches
I
and
know we talked about this on my podcast,
yeah,
but ultrasound. I know you getting
yeah,
one
yeah,
next year. Yeah, because
man.
that'll
If I
clear
don't,
up
if
all
I
that
I have
frustration right there.
I have been in so many raffles for ultrasounds, and it's unreal why I haven't won one right now. I mean, I
Yeah,
almost could have probably paid for half of one already
almost.
with the raffles. I'm gonna tell you, there's a bunch of snakes I could have bought with all the raffles I can get in, but
Understandable.
I'm telling you, man, I don't know if he's drawn yet, but I'm in one right now, TNT balls, and man,
Yeah, I seen that one.
I hope one of my numbers hit, man. I'm gonna be jumping and screaming. You know, my wife, she be like, "What?" I'm sitting here glued like this to the screen. She's like, "What you in a raffle?" I'm watching somebody's laughing. Yeah, yeah, I'm in a
Yeah,
raffle.
yeah, I'm
But
watching it. I'm trying to hope.
anyway, yes, ultrasound is in my future. Um, and I think that is at the time. I think it's more important than upgrading to a Hatchland uh, uh, ARS um,
Mm-hmm.
because it works for me, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm good with that. Um, it's it's okay for the time being, and this kind of goes with with Larry's question. Melamine is okay. You can if you have to, if that's what you have to do it. If you can get around it, if you can find some PVC somewhere, it's going to be better in the long run. It is going to cause you less headache. Um, just one more exotics says just
Yep.
waterproof it.
Waterproof it. Yeah. Even when you
You're
waterproof it, water still gets in there.
yeah
And once it happens, it ruins it.
yeah
Um, if you can, there are good quality PVC enclosures on the market.
yeah
They're couple different places. If you didn't want to build it, I know some people want to build everything with their own hands. I can contest it. I build this rack with my own hands.
Yeah.
As much as I love this rack and I am so pleased with myself, once my snakes pay for my ARS racks, I
Yep.
will have ARS racks in my whole basement. That's
Yeah.
the plan.
Yeah. And you know, I am a huge fan of PVC, and I feel like PVC is the best option when it comes to building enclosures. I've seen some really, and I mean really nice wooden enclosures, but Lord, who knows how much money they've put in the sealer. And did you see the one? I don't know if you're in any BOA groups, but there is one that this guy literally has an iPad that controls a waterfall in his
Oh
BOA's
wow.
enclosure. Yeah, and I'm like, man, I hope to be so rich one day that I have an iPad that's
Oh
dedicated
wow.
to a snake enclosure. I'm serious, because I'll do it if I got the money like that. Because this thing was sweet, man. I mean, he's sitting there programming the lights, the blue lights, okay, with the waterfall in the background, and there's a fogger humidifier going in the back. I mean, it was nice. I'm telling you, man. Lord, he could have probably bought an 8x10 enclosure PVC with that money that he put into that thing.
True.
So
True. He could have got a PVC and custom it and still spend just as much. Maybe spend a little less actually.
yeah. So just one more result says I tell you, get the ultrasound last, get the setup right, in my opinion. So my setup works. Like there's nothing wrong. I literally have a spare hatchling rack over there, 60 tubs in it, that I have had running for a little while to see if the temps are good, and that's just a backup. If stuff went crazy and I had every female go and I couldn't sell babies or whatever, I have that as a backup, because I would have more than 40. This is a 40 slot right here.
Okay.
I don't have any temperature variance from the top to the bottom. I have great sheds. They poop, they pee, they
Yep.
eat. The setup's right. I don't have.
So
I'm good
they
with it,
working.
right? Like that
Yep.
rack behind you, right, with your hatchlings on top. You've got like a kind of a universal thing going there. You've got some 11
Yep.
quarts, some 8 quarts, some 23 quarts. It
Yep.
works,
It
right?
works. It
It's good.
works. I'm only gonna
So
upgrade when I can
right,
and when I have to, honestly. Um I don't really have to right now. I know I need to upgrade my ARS for breeder females because my females are getting big and they're gonna need more space, and being a ARS to be able to breed and stuff like that. That's coming down the road in the next year. I see somebody say good luck at getting ARS right now. Yes, they are in like super back order.
yeah.
Uh,
They'll tell
uh,
you 8 to 10, but it's definitely 16 to 20.
yeah.
We know that. Me and my buddy Gary, we went in and got our ARS together, and we had to drive to Indy to get them. It was fun. See, but I'm not too far from Indy. I'm only
Okay.
it was 2 hours and 45 minutes to
So
their
my
door.
plan was to buy it and pick it up at a show at Tinley, most likely.
You're in
Um,
Wisconsin, right?
yes,
Okay, I thought
yes,
I had.
yes. So my plan was to hit Tinley and pick him up. So I'll probably try to do that in a year or two. That's the plan, anyway.
All right, I appreciate all the comments and the question, guys. But I have completely got off of my list of questions that I have for you. I'm
That's
sitting here.
all
I'm like,
about hosting.
they're
That's what
making a
hosting
whole show
happens.
here. All right. Uh, so so roughly, because this is always a hard question for me to answer. People say all the time, "How many snakes you got?" And they look at me crazy when I say I don't know. I have a good idea of how many snakes I'm keeping, like at any given time, but how many snakes I have, I don't know. How many snakes roughly do you have if you know the exact count?
I 100% know does that count because I
Okay.
use Reptile
So is
Scan.
it is that bad for me not to know my exact count?
Nope, not
Okay.
necessarily. Because how do you keep your records? That's what really makes it
Of which ones? Like all
of
snakes?
all your animals.
So I use shoot. It's called Herpville, Herp Ville,
Okay.
and it's pretty cool. It has like all of my main snakes, and a picture of them, and
Hmm.
that's it's similar to Reptile Scan. Kind of looks like
Okay.
this.
Okay. So does that program let you know how many snakes you have total?
it lets me know how many snakes that I'm keeping because I don't put my hatchlings in there. They all have clutch
Okay.
ID cards. So
Okay.
that's where I'll have the fluctuation, right?
Yeah.
I can't
Yeah. I
I
put
just
even when I have
go ahead.
hatchings, I put them into my program.
Okay.
Once I sell them, I have them marked as sold, but it's a record of that animal being at my facility. That's how I do it. Even when an animal dies, I mark it dead. All that. So I that's how I keep my records. I'm bad at inputting the information at times,
Right.
but I can tell you I have 41 snakes right now
Okay.
in my basement. 41 snakes. Nope, I lied. I have
Ah,
43 snakes because I have two blood pythons from my friend
okay.
that I'm watching for him. So I have 43 snakes at this point. Nope, I lied again. Uh, uh, I just
Uh,
realized. I
call it something.
realized. Um, I got a snake in today
That's another
that you
thing.
guys might get to see tomorrow. So I
Yep.
have
Okay.
44 snakes.
Exclusive, 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 exclusive.
It is
You
exclusive.
seen it here first, folks.
If I edit it, I already shot the unboxing. I gotta edit it. So
Yeah.
44 snakes and unboxing video coming tomorrow, hopefully,
Okay.
on my channel if I remember to do it. So don't hold me
Speaking of
to
his
it.
channel, go over to GP Snakes, plug it into YouTube. Make sure y'all like and subscribe. My man is always posting content. Always, always,
Yeah.
always. And he's got a slew of videos that you can go back and check out too. Everything from the rack and his background that he built
Yep.
to how to do
DIY on that
custom
rack.
custom name tags to rat racks to you name it. If you want to even know how to feed your snakes, he shows you how to switch them over to frozen thawed. um he's on it. That's all I got to say. He
Which
is on it.
I'm thinking about redoing that video or doing another version of the video because some
Yeah,
people gave me some different ideas of how to do stuff, and I haven't tried it myself, so maybe I'll try it first and then maybe do a video down the road. So I'm always thinking of new ideas, trying to do
man.
stuff.
Honestly, I think that's not a bad idea to even go back and nitpick a bunch of videos that you might have done that you feel like because everything's changing, right? I'm not saying that
Yeah.
you have bad videos out there, but like I know myself, I have different views as I did a year ago or a year before that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that a lot of channels do that. They go back and they will redo a video that they did because they do things differently, or they
Yep.
found a better way of doing it. It wasn't that they did it wrong originally. They just and they want to share it with the viewers and the subscribers, giving them
Exactly.
what they want, no holdbacks. I seen a meme earlier today. It was I guess it wasn't a meme. It was more of just a inspirational photo. It's basically saying that if you really love what you do, then you would not shun the people that wanted to do what you do, like or getting into it, right? So it's kind of like the
Mm-hmm.
aspect of like some of the older breeders or bigger breeders or people who've been doing it 20, 30 years. How stupid would it be for them to shun people coming into the hobby or wanting to come into the hobby and push them away? What does that
Mm-hmm.
do for them? It's negative.
Yeah.
So, and I tell people all the time, and they're just like, I just can't believe you just answered my question, and will you give me some insight on this? And I'm like, anything that I know, I'm an open book. You know,
Exactly.
I don't
I
mind it at all.
I was
Are you that way?
amazed the first time someone told me their kids listen or watch my channel, but when the music for my channel comes on, they get super excited. And I was like, the fact that I have that effect on someone that I never met in my life
Yeah,
is an amazing feeling that I have
for
that kind
sure,
of positive effect on someone.
for
Um,
sure.
like when you were telling me like this, my podcast made you start your podcast. I
You did.
never
You
thought,
did. You
okay,
did. You did. You definitely did. Your
the
podcast
fact,
got me. Oh, I'm almost to 200 subscribers on YouTube, and I would have to say that is mostly due to yours. Because after that, I think I got like 13, 14. I was only at 170 then, and I'm like
okay,
4 away from 200. So your
okay,
podcast did that, but you pushed me to do this, and kind of get me out of the shell. Like I'd only done one podcast before I was on yours, and that
okay,
was on Samson's "What's in Your Cup," Samsung Snakeatorium. You
okay,
know what I'm talking?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, Yeah,
And
I'm trying to get on there too. I gotta hit him up. I'm like,
yeah,
hey,
he's a busy
let
man,
me get
man.
on.
He
He
is
is so
busy.
busy.
He's rolling.
He
I don't know
goes
how he
so
does it.
hard.
I do not know how he does it.
Oh wow. He has a busy schedule. I am just amazed how he does it.
All
Oh
right, so
wow.
I'll ask you a couple more of these questions, and I'm gonna get back on my question.
Okay.
So I just seen one here. Just one more exotic is coming with the heat questions. He says,
He
"What's
is
one more?
coming.
Yeah, y'all are looking forward to picking up in the future." Go ahead, brother.
So, if you watch my channel tomorrow when I post that video, that is one of the uh morphs I was excited to pick up and work with. So I kind of got that morph now. So that morph and another one is either sunset, um, or technically I can say monarch because I don't have a monarch or visual. I've hit monarch, so I'm really excited to work with actual monarch down the road. Those are my two. I know I named like three kind of, but I am excited to work with that. Oh, and I'm kind of excited to work with Wookie. It's doing some really interesting stuff with Clown, and I'm really interested to see that Super Wookie looks crazy, super
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. Wookie is definitely on my radar. Again,
Uh,
just like Monarch, my bank account tells me one thing, and I gotta I gotta listen to it because that's the only way I stay afloat. But Wookie is
understandable.
definitely impressive, man. And it's that next level. It's that next tier that I'm gonna get to. It's like I talk to my buddy all the time, and I'm like, man, we got to get some acid stuff. I like acid. I like Wookie. I like Sunset. I like Clown too.
Mm-hmm.
But all that stuff, I kind of try to stay in my lane when I talk about it. And there's probably some people in here that feel like, what are you talking about, Ramel? You can go get one of those if you want to. Um, I'm not saying that I couldn't, but you have to be. There's a reason why most of the people who started are still in it. And they're
Mm-hmm.
not just falling down the rabbit hole, as we call it, right? Chasing other people's projects and morphs and stuff like that. If you stay focused, you
Mm-hmm.
can you can the marathon, man. It is not a sprint. It is definitely a
Exactly.
long-term thing. You have to be able to
Exactly.
understand that. He says, "Who's the other Samson?" So it, I'm surprised you have not heard of
I'm
them. So
very surprised.
Samson Snakeatorium is a father-son duo. Samson is the CEO of Samson Snakeatorium. They have great snakes, great content. You have got to go check them out on
Yeah.
YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Brian Riviera is the dad. Revere, I'm sorry, man, if I said that wrong. Um, Revere, it's one of the two. But he's the dad and Samson's the son, and they've got some great content. Y'all have got to check them out. Never in my life have I met another Samson. That's weird, man. I've met like 3 or 4 Ramels. That's
I've never
Samson's
met a Gershon. I can honestly say I've never met a
really
Gershon. I know that one actress was Gina Gershon, but I've never met an actual Gershon. I've met a Rushon. My mom is Lushon, but I've never met another Gershon, which is understandable. Understandable.
okay.
It's a unique name.
So what's the peach? Just one more exotic. You gotta tell us about this. Do you know what he's talking about?
Yeah, I know
So
what he's talking about.
okay.
So it's a gene. I can't remember if it's recessive or codon. But Justin has it and Samson has it as well. And he's doing some nice stuff with it. I'm excited to see what he does with it.
So the gene is actually called peach.
I believe so. I believe it's actually
Wow,
called
I
Peach.
hadn't heard of that. I have to check that out.
Yeah, it's something Justin's been kind of working on in the background, trying to figure out what it does 100% and
So
stuff.
So what you're telling me is just one more exotic's got some heat. Then if he got a JKR exclusive, he got some heat. Then, huh?
He's got some nice stuff.
Okay.
He's producing some nice stuff. I think he just hatched out a ghost clutch that might be. I might be wrong about this. It might be um Het Puzzle. I might be
Okay.
wrong, but he's got some
I
nice
like the
stuff over
puzzle.
here.
I like the
I'm
puzzle.
still on the fence with Puzzle. I
Yeah.
just haven't seen it in something I really like it in yet.
Hypo
To be
puzzles, man.
100%,
Hypo puzzles are nice,
I'm
man.
still on the fence with hypo. So
Really?
I,
Wow,
I like
man.
Inchy because I like
Yeah,
everything in Inchy. Inchy
yeah,
hypos got me super excited for it, and then I kind of let it go because I
yeah,
was so focused on my albino clown project, and I kind of let hypo go. But I'm starting to see hypo again, and it's exciting me again. Like I said before, work with stuff that excites you because that keeps your passion in this.
yeah.
And
Exactly,
that would helps you keep going on those days when you
exactly.
don't want to clean 62 tubs.
Yep, staying true to what you do, man. That's what I said.
Yep.
I cleaned 61 the other day, man, with the kids, and I threw them a little something, something for helping me. I mainly just instructed them, but it's not fun if you are coming in here and like, oh, I don't really like clown, but I got,
Yep.
clean 10 of these tubs, But when you can
Yep.
come in here and pull that tub out and just sit there and drool a little bit and then close it and then go to the next one, and it makes picking that poop up a little bit easier every
It
time, more and more.
does. It does.
So he said he's
So
got a
it's
Posset puzzle and Posset Ultramil.
okay. Yeah. Yeah.
What's your feelings on Possets, man? I don't even know like how do you? It's like where do you start with pricing? It's like how do I, you know, it's possibly hit
so
100% hit.
my friend coach from High Desert Morphs,
Yeah,
he said he does. I think he said 66% pos hets he does 10% on,
yeah,
and 50% pos hets he just sells them as regular. He doesn't work unless it's something big like sunset or moonshine. Is it
10%
moonshine or
as in at 10% as in total, like so say a
a
visual is
little
this
like
10% of
how
that.
much? How much? 10% of how much a normal het would cost.
Okay,
So
got you,
10%
got
of
you,
that,
got you.
basically.
I
I
got
could be
you.
wrong on this. He could probably have said something totally different, but that's what I
Okay,
think I remember him saying.
yeah.
My
I'm
uh, uh, concept on pos hets, I would buy a 66% pos het, so a head-to-head breeding that did uh, prove out and have a visual in it. I'll buy a pos het from that.
Yeah,
I'll hold back a 50% pos het and try to prove it out. I don't necessarily think I would buy a 50% pos het.
right.
Now, if it was something else in that it was 50% pos het was extra, cool. I'm not
Yeah,
worried about that. I might try to breed that
yeah,
out down the road,
yep,
but I'm not going to specifically buy a animal that's 50% pos het.
yeah. Yeah, I think that the way that would have to work for me is if I was buying a Blackhead Mystic Het puzzle, Posset puzzle, Posset Ultramel, or Posset DG, throwing in a couple Possets in there, and then I'm so like where I want to make the Kodam pairing that I'm putting together. But if I hit a puzzle in that pairing or whatever possible hit visual in there, that's where the magic would happen, right?
Yep.
I don't think I can handle the disappointment from pairing
Yeah.
that from some man. That's rough. So
Yeah.
I'm assuming that most of the people in the chat know about how hits and how it works, but I explain this often to people. And I actually had one person who thought that you like the snake had 50% of it is het, right? So a snake is either het something or it isn't. They
Yep.
have 50% chance of being het for it if one parent was het and the other was not. They have 66% chance of being het for that gene if both parents were het, and they are 100% positively het for that recessive gene if one parent was visual. And you will never get a non-visual from two visual recessive gene parents. So hopefully I didn't say that too fast, but that is the breakdown, 100% how it goes every time. Did I say anything wrong there,
No,
Sean?
that's right.
Okay.
That's right.
And that is how it goes. It took me a while to really understand how that worked. Um, but it's really simple once you see it broken down on paper. You write it down a couple times and you're able to have it come off the tongue a couple times. it gets really easy. The more he's. So Ross says, "Speak English, boys."
Yeah, I
That's
seen
what I
that.
was kind of trying
That's what I was
to
laughing
elaborate.
about.
I didn't see that before I started elaborating on it, but I just wanted to kind of put that out there. And it's not complicated, man. I mean, when you look at it, we're
Oh,
really
it's
like doing.
complicated. It gets complicated. Trust me, because it's so
Yeah,
hard to explain it to people that don't
yeah,
know snake terms. It's complicated, but once you learn it, it's like a second language. You've already
yeah,
known it. It's
yeah,
weird. Like
yeah,
when I think back when I didn't know snakes and what I do know now, it's
yeah.
amazing. It's like I learned another language. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
I mean, one thing to throw a curveball in you is if you ever get in one of these groups and you start reading a thread of somebody who's done like some geneticist work and they're like a college student or something, and they start talking about, well, there's really no codoms, and they're like everything's recessive or
Yeah.
not recessive, but heterozygous and homozygous, right?
Yep.
I'm not trying to throw you off here, Ross, but the heterozygous the real
Confusing.
term for het, and homozygous is the term for codon. So um, this guy was going on in this chat, and I was lost in the comments, bro. Like he was talking about how um, everything is heterozygous and it either
Hmm.
has a super or it doesn't. It
Yep.
made sense is what got me, because
Yep.
you start thinking about it and you're like, okay, well, I know that there's some morphs that you put two of them together and you'll never get a super, but almost everything has most genes have supers, and every
Yep.
recessive put together, if you thought of it that way, is a super.
Yep.
But where it didn't make sense is where you have two recessive put together, and it's just like, well, no, I guess it does make sense, because if you breed two super pastels together, you're gonna get all super pastels. So it's the same
Super
thing as breeding
pastels.
two
Yeah.
two ultra males together, right?
Yep. So
I don't
think
even
of it
want.
this way: the super is the complete form of that morph,
Right,
and
exactly.
the non super is part of that morph. But
Yeah,
then, what really conflicts everything is the ones that are allelic. So
yeah,
that throws everything you kind of understand. It throws it all off immediately because it's like,
yeah,
well, I compare these two animals together, and they never would reproduce themselves
yep,
ever.
yep,
So it doesn't have a super form or not. Totally confusing.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
We
it's a
definitely.
different language.
We definitely nerded out there a minute there, just one more exotics, but it's all good, man. This is the good stuff you want to get into, and
So
go ahead.
yeah, let's bring it back to
Yeah,
better understandable things. So there was a time in my breeding experience or breeding life that I literally got rid of 95% of my collection. I
really.
was going to stop breeding. I was not going to breed anymore. I was only going to keep 5 snakes in my collection. I had sold everything off. And then the thing that got me back into it was my albino female laid a clutch of eggs. She was paired to my clown head albino, and she
Hmm.
laid a clutch of eggs. And I got my albino het clown inchy in that, and that's what got me back into snakes. I literally sold everything but 5 snakes and was gonna get out of snakes, and that
Okay.
pulled me back in. Um, I don't think I've ever told that story, but yeah,
Yeah, I've
that's
not heard it. That's the good one
that.
though, man.
It, there was a
So
moment
it
where
was
there
that
wouldn't have
pinnacle,
been cheaper
right?
snakes. Yep, it
Was
was that
it
moment where I was done.
was it looking at her that kind of brought you back in, or
It was one of my dream snakes to make was an albino inchy, and I
yeah,
made it.
yeah,
And that euphoric feeling was
right,
amazing to see her in the egg, her come out the egg, her eat
okay,
for the first time,
yeah.
and know that I produced that.
So it was the
Something
total
I
experience.
exactly something I dreamed of producing for the very short time of me becoming a breeder and getting into ball pythons. And
Yeah,
of course, I wanted to produce something else, which is the albino clown.
right.
So that journey has kept me going. But I realized that I couldn't have one snake to be the snake I want to make, because then once you make it, it's like, where do you go? So I start picking up other snakes, which is very easy to do that I
Yeah.
want to make. Very easy because there's so many morphs.
Oh yeah, thousands. In fact, thousands.
Thousands. It's
Um,
incredible.
yeah, man. I can definitely jig with that. I've not had a moment where like I felt like I wanted to, completely get out. I've had a lot of moments where I'm like, man, I need to tone it back. I had two mangrove monitors at one point, man. I had
Oh wow.
a group of blood Borneo short tails, blood pythons, and Sumatran short tails, man. And
Wow.
it was just I hated it because it was like a quick in and out that I don't like
Mm-hmm.
doing. But I really just was. It's kind of one of those things like when you eat with your eyes and not with what your real appetite
Yes.
is. I got in over my head and I had to step
Yeah.
back. And my buddy Gary, he's probably not on here no more because I think he's working. Well, he's acting like he's working. He don't be working, but he actually kind of um, talked me out of going too far because I was kind of I wasn't ready to the point of getting down to 5, but I was really ready to sell off quite a few of
Mm.
my snakes, and it was a point where I really didn't know how to balance time. As you know, I was in school. I still am in school. I'm on break right now, so I'm trying to get it in and get all this content out, get videos recorded and lined up. But doing the school, doing work, doing the kids, doing this and that, and it kind of got to me there for a second. And I was there to slimming down, and I'm glad that he was there to kind of like, look, man, you're good. Like you're
Mm.
overthinking it. You can do this. I've seen what you do at 3 a.m. It's nothing for you. You're a beast.
Yeah.
So he said, don't get them on monitors. Yeah, I won't, man, because they're a beast of their own. My buddy Rawson here, he actually ended up taking my bigger male mangrove, and he is a absolute puppy dog with him. When I had him, that I don't, they clicked, man. Them that monitor and that guy, they clicked. He has done
Mm.
some work with them. Have you ever had like have you done lizards at all? Intellectual? I know you said that you kept a lizard, way back then.
Yeah. I had an iguana
Okay.
that I got from a neighbor who used to blow weed in his face. So
Oh yeah, I remember you talking about that on
was
one podcast. Was that 212?
she
You
was
the last one?
yeah,
Yeah.
212 we talked about
Yep.
this. She was super aggressive to any male, but she was okay with me. So that's why I
Yeah.
ended up keeping her and working with her and hanging out with her and had her until she died. She was a great iguana. She would just chill and hang out with me while I watched TV. I was like 14 or 15 at the time. She would just sit there and chill with me and watch as I watch TV. She
It's
just hung
awesome.
out with me.
It's an
Yeah.
awesome experience, man, when they can do that because they can be mean. They can be so mean.
So, she was so mean to everybody else. She
Yeah.
would tail slap people all the time. She wouldn't let anybody else hold her. I was the oh, she would bite people, like literally bite people. And
Really.
iguanas have those little small jagged teeth,
Yeah.
so their bites
Yeah.
aren't bad, but it's like you bit me. Come
Yeah.
on.
They're like
Uh,
bearded dragons. I didn't even know bearded dragons bite, and my male had literally never bit me. And I was just messing with him one day and kind of moved him out of the way. And it's weird because he'll chill and he's good, but he like doesn't like being picked up, which is I mean, there's no way around it. When you're not going to listen to me, like, come here, boy, you're not going to do some dog
yeah,
stuff, then I got to pick you up. But he's
yeah,
cool. And, I've had people in here that have literally held him, and he bit me one day. And then now I'm thinking, like, dang, man, what if somebody did get bit in here? And they be, because I was
yeah,
leaking. I was bleeding, man. I was like, what? I didn't know that they bit at all. And then out of nowhere, my son's little bearded dragon started turning into a little demon. And I ended up having to give him one of mine. I had 3, now I'm down to 2.
mm.
'Cause he just
That's the
he
thing
just
I'm worried about. My cousin told me I should start doing like going to events at kids' schools and showing off the animals,
yeah,
doing that little educational stuff. And I'm like, that's cool, but what if an animal bites a kid?
yeah.
Like they're animals. They're have their own feelings. They might not
So
like a lot of people. I'm
so
worried about that.
I've got some input on this because I've been asked this a couple times.
Okay.
My 11 month, he's about to be 11-month old son went to daycare, and it never fails, man. These people at the daycare look up my wife, trying to find pictures or posts of my son, and then they come across me, and then they're like, "We seen all your snakes. You need to bring them in here." And this, and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Listen, y'all, we got some steps to take before I come in and do that." And I think one would be to first notify anybody that would be involved in that showing, right? They'd have to
Hmm.
send home some type of letters to let them know, like, hey, this is happening. If you do not want your child involved around this, then please do not
Exactly.
send them, or let the teachers know, or whatever, whoever's involved with orchestrating that, so they aren't a part of it, right?
Hmm.
Secondly, and you do not have to answer this question, but is GP Snakes a LLC?
I'm working on it. I'm
Okay.
I'm
Uh,
actually gonna get it set up this year.
that let me not speak like I know everything, but to my knowledge, that protects you from you
Yep.
personally from being sued if something
Yep.
bad was to go happen majorly. And that
Yep.
was one of the reasons why I LLC'd Morph Nation Reptiles, because I knew that I wanted to show off the big snakes at reptile shows. I knew that I
Hmm.
would. I mean, man, my kids, they're bound to say, "Hey, show and tells this week. Can you bring in some of the snakes?" So um, that's kind of my tidbit on how you can kind of go around that. And then there's always just look. I'm showing you. There's no touching because uh, these are animals, right? At the end of the day, more people get bit by dogs than snakes. Point blank. Period.
Yes.
And
Yes.
people bring in dogs and stuff like that to all different types of pet stores. And just one more exotic says waivers. Waivers is a good thing, but at the
Waivers
same,
is, yeah. You still, they still can come after you even with the
yeah,
waiver.
yeah.
That's the danger. And then you
um
kind of mess somebody up. They have a fear. That fear just heightened from that experience. So that's the thing, we want to promote positive experiences in
yes,
the
yes,
reptile hobby, so
yes,
more people come to it, so it can keep growing. Like,
yes. I
we're
tell
not
people
gonna grow until we bring new people in.
exactly.
That's
I
just
tell
how it works.
I tell people all the time. They're like, "Look, I'll look, but don't be putting it on. Don't touch me with it." I said, "I get nothing from that. I
Yeah.
literally that does the opposite of what I want. I want you to say that you don't want to touch it right now, and then by the time that you leave here in an hour, you say, "Okay, well let me hold it real quick." Because you've
Yep.
seen me doing this, and I'm not even paying attention to what the snake doing, and you're like, "He really is not worried about that snake because it's not going to do anything." You know, the fact that you have to put your dog up before I come in your house, and
Yeah.
you can come in here and lay in one of my 6 foot enclosures with one of my boas proves that these snakes ain't as bad as your little
No.
chihuahua. Not trying to rag on chihuahuas. I know you got chihuahuas, but hey, it be them, man. It be them. They
It
some
do.
fierce
It do.
dogs, man.
My
They some
my
fierce dogs.
chihuahuas can't be around people because they'll bite them. They don't
Yeah,
like anybody else but my family. So I
yeah.
understand that. They're
And and
vicious, vicious
and,
little
and
dogs.
sometimes it's like I love it. I don't have to have ADT. I don't have to have Vivint. If somebody comes up in here, my dog's gonna let me know. Woo.
Yep.
I I like it too. I try to use that analogy for people to kind of put it in perspective. Like your fears are not really as rational as you think, but at the same time, I'm not gonna feed into them and chase you around my snake room with a snake. And I
Exactly.
hate people who do that. I hate people who feed in on people's fears and think that it's funny. It's not. I mean, it does only bad for the hobby. It's just not good, man. Not at all.
No, it doesn't. There was a couple people doing YouTube videos like that. That kind of shine a bad light on the hobby, which honestly, feeding videos kind of do that too. People hate that they're out there because sometimes you get bit. And if you
Yeah,
keep that in the video, people want to see you get bit. It's that anticipation of you getting bit that people want to see. I try not to put that in videos, but I also try not to hide stuff because
yeah,
try to be as transparent as possible, showing you my journey, showing you everything that's happening with my collection.
Yeah.
and what I'm doing.
Yeah, I love your feeding videos, man. I don't do feeding videos just because I don't know. Um, I don't know, man. I just don't want to be on that side of like, oh, you did something wrong, you know.
Yep.
And then it's crazy because like me as a person, I'm not that guy. I don't care what people think. Sometimes you know, I'm like, you know, so we had touched on guns earlier. Like I'm super like, if that's what you want to do and you want to have legally, you know, what you can go out there and buy legally without having to go
Yep.
somewhere on the street and buy it. You can buy it. I don't care if you can go get a tank right now. If you can legally own it, you can have it. You know, because it ain't the people who legally get it that we're worried about, right? I mean,
Hmm.
come on now. I mean, anything that's outlawed and is done in most, you know, shadows is not done legally. You know,
Yep.
so I'm all about that, man, and it kind of saddens me sometimes that you have to be so censored on these platforms, to the point to where I just don't even do it. You know what I mean?
True.
And
True.
that's a whole nother topic. I have a question here. That April has asked that I'd like for you to answer if you would. She's got some babies. There, it's actually, yeah, Jim. Okay, so this is actually the or their half of the split clutch.
Okay.
Again, not to beat this dead horse, but we had a split clutch that was a super pastel ghost to a ghost 100% heck caramel albino. This was supposed to be a no brainer. Everything in the clutch should have came out pastel 50% het caramel albino. So this was their first clutch. I took 3 eggs. They took 3 eggs. They incubated them. There should have been no guesswork on any of the babies.
Hmm.
They incubated them. Theirs hatched out about 2 days after mine because we have a little bit of variance degree in our incubators, and they are having issues with them being biters. I know being a breeder, you have experienced this. What are some tips that you can give them to get them out of strike mode?
Um, I think Justin did a video on this,
Yep,
how
Justin
to
Kabelka
approach your
did. He did.
snakes.
Yep, sure did.
Definitely check out his video. It's always the try to distract them one way and grab them the other way to calm
Hmm.
them down, get them realizing it's fear. It's
Yeah,
basically fear. They're scared, so their instinct is to attack. Get them to relax, get them to calm down, let them know that you're not there to hurt them, that you're there to feed them. It's gonna take time. That's what it is. You got to work with them, handle them, get them used to being handled, get them used to being people standing over them, which they're not
yeah,
ever gonna get used to that, but they will adjust to it.
yep.
That's basically what it is. Just time, handling, taking your time with them. Because
I
I
tell
have a
people,
couple biters myself.
yeah, I tell people all the time, and it's even weirder to say out loud, but snakes don't love; they tolerate us, right?
Yeah,
So you have to learn how to speak their language and how to communicate and interact with them accordingly to how they want you to interact with them. Because if you don't, then they're gonna let you know. Um,
yeah.
I have only been bit a handful of times out of 70 something snakes I got here right now. I mean, can you recall every time that you've been bit by ball pythons?
I've been
Let's
bit.
take hatchlings out of the equation. I feel like
Oh, we
that.
take hatchlings out, then
Yeah,
yeah, then zero.
zero.
My me. Well, that's a lie. I lied again. um, my snake Deku he bit me. Well, I sold him not because he bit me, because I didn't need to use him anymore. He bit me only because it was feeding time and he was excited.
Yeah,
So that's another thing you have to worry about. When it's feeding time and they can smell the rats in the room, they're ready to go. That's why I
yeah.
learned to start using tongs to open the tubs, so my hand is not that first heat signature they see,
Mm-hmm.
which they're gonna go for immediately.
Yep.
So yes, I mostly my bitings, if happen, are doing feed response.
Yep. Tongs or snake hook to open up your tubs.
Yeah,
I guess you could call that a downside to the tubs if there is any. That if you have gray tubs or not semi-clear or clear tubs, you can't see if they're at the front of the tub. So
true.
I've had them kind of come out at me and catch me off guard, but I've never been bit that way. I've been bit 4 times by snakes, and uh, every time has been my fault. And
Mhm.
I'm not saying this like some, trying to take the blame off the victim type of thing. I'm
Yeah.
literally saying it was my fault. Stupidly, blindly cleaning poop and not paying attention to the snake. It's telling me, hey, I am nesting. I've just been building follicles. I don't want you in my tub. And I wasn't paying attention. This was 3 times this happened. And the third time I learned my lesson and I stopped doing this. I started watching them every time because I was just being too trustworthy, right? I was like, ball pythons don't bite. At this point, I, had so many and never been bit. I'm just
Mhm.
like, they just don't bite. So, and I got tagged 3 times in a row within a couple weeks of
Oh
me,
wow.
going, and it was all when I started breeding. Literally, it was the feeding response and me turning them on to breeding and them saying, "Hey, this is my house. I'm trying to get it ready for the
Yep.
kids. Get out of here." And it was
Yep.
always boom. I got you. It was almost like a
Quick
punch, like an
tag.
open
Yep.
handed, bow. And it never hurt. I never was like, ow, anything like that. I tell people all the time, the bite does not hurt. The anticipation
Nope.
of getting bit is really what hurts you, and it still don't hurt, but it's just like your heart beats so fast, it makes you feel like you hurt. It's weird. It really is. But the time that I did get bit, that was bad. I bred rats in my snake room, and I should have posted a picture of this, man. It was pretty awesome. But I bred rats in here, and I had a snake in quarantine. The quarantine upstairs in my wife's office. Again, shout out to the wife. She's always been a big sporter. Doesn't like snakes, but she hoses it down, man. I got
Okay.
a
Okay.
quarantine literally feet away from her where she works every day. It's amazing, amazing, man. So I
Wow.
brought her out of quarantine, and I bring her down to the snake room. All the other snakes are used to the rats being bred in here. It's just a normal day to them. She crossed over
Gotcha.
that threshold, and I could almost. It was almost like a hit of some dope or something. Man, she was just like, boom, her eyes opened up
Yeah.
wide, and I was like, whoa, what are you doing? And she looked at me and was looking for heat. And I sat her down, and I'm thinking like, ball pythons don't bite. And man, she hit me and wrapped me up like a retic. I'm telling you, like she
Oh
was coiled around
wow.
my arm. She had my
Oh
arm and she
wow.
coiled around my arm, and I'm just sitting here like, "What are you doing?" Like, "Let go," And when I tell you, my wife thought it was the most amazing thing ever. I'll have to find the photo one day and send it to you, man. But you can literally see both rows. You know how ball pythons have, and some other species too, have 2 rows. Literally, they sit kind of like this, back to back, the
Uh-huh.
rows, top and bottom. You could see both imprints on my arm.
Oh
And it
wow.
was a clean bite all the way around. And she stayed like that for like 5 minutes. And I just kind of let her do her thing. But man, when I come upstairs, I said, I got bit, right? And she goes, "Oh, really? What?" I mean, I'm leaking like I got blood rolling down my arm. It was pouring down my arm.
Wow.
So that was pretty gruesome to see, but it didn't hurt.
It didn't hurt,
Um,
yeah.
and I didn't have any hard feelings for her because again it was my fault. Like and it's funny because I ended up rehoming that snake to a friend of mine who didn't breed snake rats in his snake room because she never calmed down, bro. But what it was is she
Mm.
went on a feeding frenzy, right? So it
Okay.
was I literally couldn't walk past the tub. I couldn't get her out. I couldn't do bedding change without her trying to just latch onto me like a leech and get me. So
Hmm.
I told my buddy, I said, look, I posted it and I was like, hey, kind of a special case where I'll let this thing go for next to nothing, just because I need her to go to somebody who doesn't have rats breeding in their room. And this girl thought she was trying to tell me something like, "You're crazy for." They're just going nuts all the time because they smell the rats. And I'm like, I
Hmm.
get that. I understand that. I also don't have snakes missing meals. So what's your point here? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, that was
there's
just
plenty
that
of people who
snake's
do it.
personality.
Yeah, so it is,
Yeah.
it is what it is. So April, I think I see Marty's comments. He's one of the ones that say Facebook user. I don't see his name popping up like yours is. I
I
believe you
see
have
his
to go,
name now.
Marty.
I
Oh
see
yeah, yeah,
Marty
yeah.
now.
You're right. Yep,
It
yep. I
was
sure do.
popping up
Yep.
as Facebook user
Yeah.
at first.
So I think the way that you have to do that on Facebook is you have to actually let it allow you to use your information, and I think that's why everybody's name was
Oh
popping up as
wow.
Facebook user. I think I don't know if I have that setting turned on off or not. Um, funny. My wife literally, she must be watching because she had to send me the picture of the
She
bite.
sent you the picture.
Yeah, she's amazed by this, man. Let me see if I can get this to show up here.
Oh yeah, you can see the teeth. Oh wow, you can see the marks. Wow, that is
Yeah.
incredible.
So,
Oh
and it bled like something crazy, man. But fun fact for anybody who doesn't know, they have anticoagulant. Ball pythons and snakes, most snakes in general, have an anticoagulant in their saliva that stops you from clotting up. So you just continue to bleed, for the most part.
oh,
Did you know that?
okay. No,
No.
had no idea that.
Yeah.
Because
Yep.
I've never had a bite or where see you got fully bit. I've gotten bit with just a tag and pull away.
Yeah.
She sunk in and held
Yeah.
on.
Oh yeah.
I've
She
only
literally
time
thought I was a rat.
only time I got that was my emerald tree boa. She bit me and kind of held on, and it surprised me that she bit me. It didn't hurt. It surprised me, and I pulled back, and she came with me, and I flung her into my stove at the time. And then I was just in shock and terrified that I hurt her, and I just went and picked her up and made sure she was okay. She didn't die from that. I want to specify I had her 4 years after that happened before she actually passed away. But yeah, that was my worst bite just because I thought I killed my snake.
Yeah.
That was my worst bite for me, per se.
And those
emerald tree boas do have really big fangs. They do.
I was say they're not called teeth; those are fangs. All right, people. If y'all have never looked up a picture of an emerald tree boa mouth, do that right now to know what this man got bit by. Because I'm telling you, it has kept me from getting one of them because I don't. And then my buddy got one and he can handle it like it's nobody's business. And that's like I'm like, yeah, maybe I will get one, but it'll be my luck. Because I want the Biox, and luckily you told me that, so I'm gonna change that up because I was gonna get the most aggressive kind that there was. But all right, so we're pushing on to 2 hours. I'm gonna get to some more of my questions because I definitely want to get through all of them. But I want to thank each and every one of you all that have been commenting and conversing with us in the chats because you all have been awesome. But I want to ask Gershon a couple.
Okay, before we get to that one question,
go ahead.
April got a question, and I'm dealing with that right now.
I was definitely gonna ask you that one.
Her question is, what do you
do? Go ahead.
What do you do when a baby doesn't eat his first meal? You take that meal out, give that baby a couple more days, and try again.
Patience.
Patience. You could do little tricks like make sure it has a hide, see if that works. If you're feeding rats, try mice. If worst case scenario, try African sulfurs if you can get them. What are your feelings on African sulfurs? Because
my feelings is I wish my state wasn't so
exactly
on against African sulfurs. They're illegal here.
Biggest issue I have is they're not legal everywhere. So you can get somebody that feeds nothing but African sulfurs. You buy that snake, and now you're in a state that you can't get African sulfurs. So that snake doesn't switch over. Yeah. It's real hard.
I am a firm believer that there is no stuck on ball python though. I have a mouser coming tomorrow. I actually have a female that this guy says, I got a great deal on this girl, and she's a mouser. So I'm looking forward to the challenge of converting her over. The only reason that I breed mice, because I despise mice with every inch of me, man. They are the worst. And it's funny because I don't say that about rats because I actually somewhat like them because they're intelligent and because they don't just eat each other just because you switched to bedding before it was a full week or you didn't feed them the right food or whatever they decide to eat each other for. Man, I've literally had a tub of 40 winged and come in there the next day and there's 2 left and they're looking at me like, I don't know what happened to them guys. They're gone.
Your mice are just terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible to breed.
So yes, mice, April, the only reason that I breed mice is to have fresh mouse hoppers around for troubled eaters.
Yep.
I do rat pups out the gate. I don't do pinkies. Nothing without fur comes in here into the snake room. Oh, I take that back. I'll give the bearded dragon a pinky, the bearded dragons every once in a while, and I also have
Okay.
an African bullfrog, a pixie frog that eats pinkies. Other
Okay.
than that, nothing eats pinkies in here. I go straight to pups. They still have their eyes closed, but they are pups, so roughly 7 days old or so, right?
Okay.
If they're about the size of your thumb, thickness wise, so the same principle applies to you feeding something a little bit thicker than your snake. So a ball
Hmm.
python comes out about the size thickness of your thumb, so that should be the right size. I typically don't have any issues with that, but if I do, then I go to a mouse hopper, and I don't know what it is other than the fact that they stink to high heaven that they like
Yeah.
mice.
It has to be that smell. It has to be that smell. Or maybe could be the movement because they do move a lot more than pups do.
They do, they
But
do.
I think it's either it's a maybe a combination of smell and movement.
Yeah.
Um, but right now I have my first clutch, and only one snake has taken a meal. Out of six, only one has taken a meal, and it was a mouse. Everybody's striking at stuff, but they're not holding it. So they're still trying to figure out that it's food, and they're defensive striking.
So
Um,
what's your process from snake baby hatching to tub? What do you do? What's your process as far as
so I think I'm actually gonna make change my process from what it was to something new. But what I do is I cut the eggs, could put
Mhm.
them back into the incubator until they all come
what day
out.
do you cut it?
I've been trying to wait till one pips,
Yep,
but
I do the
usually
same.
if it doesn't pip, they 56 or 57 if it
56.
doesn't
Yep.
pip.
56
Because
for
I'm
me.
worried. I want to make sure they can get out and not drown in the
Right.
egg. Um,
Exactly.
So after I cut, I wait till they all come out. They're still in the incubator. Once they're all out the egg, I put them in a tub in the rack. So they're all together in the tub in the rack until their first shed. Once they have their first shed, I separate everybody and then I offer their first meal.
Yeah.
If they take it their first time, cool, you get marked. If they
Hmm.
don't take it, I wait 2 to 3 days and try again. Either I'm gonna start doing what you do and do just rat pups right off the bat.
Hmm.
I usually start with frozen thawed pinky
Yeah.
rats, and then I go to live pinky rats if they don't take that first meal, and then I go to live mice if they don't take that first meal or that third time. Um, but I try to feed everybody frozen thaw because I don't breed my own. I
Right.
actually buy. It's just my wife won't let me breed because she's got a super sensitive nose, and rat smell is not something she can deal with. And I don't have the facility to have an outside breeding facility right now.
Right.
Maybe in the future, we never know. I might hit that lottery, but
Yeah.
right now, that's what I do.
Gotta do what works for you, man. And
Exactly.
you're making it work. Um, and that works. I'll tell you what I do, and I was trying to listen in and pay real close attention. Did you say about as far as days, like how many days after they come out of the egg do you wait until they shed, and then put them into their own tubs? Or do you? I know some people take the babies whenever they come out of the egg. They don't even let them shed in the incubator. They put them into a tub and let them shed out in the tub all together, and then separate them. What
Yeah,
is do you
I
do
do that. I let
okay,
them all shed in a tub in the rack. I
in the
take
rack?
them out
Okay,
once they all come out their egg. I put them all together in a tub and put them in a rack and let them shed there.
okay. So, uh, since you're thinking about changing it, let me tell you how I do it, and maybe again,
Okay,
people, how we take little bits from people and put them together, and
exactly.
then build your best version of what works for you. And I
Yep.
did not come up with this. I got this from Justin Kabelka and always evolving pythons.
Okay.
So what I do is I cut on day 56. I haven't made it to day 56. Not a single clutch is made. Day 55 is the closest I've gotten. Other
Okay.
than that, it's always been a pip on day 55 or sooner. Day 52 is like the earliest. I've had, and I incubate at 89.5. So when I see a pip, I cut them. They usually come out in 2 to 3 days. No more than 3 days have I had any, but they usually come out in 2 to 3 days. If I have some going around that 2 to 3 day mark, I'll get the egg box back out and kind of peek in there, make sure nothing's going wrong. Um,
Mm-hmm.
if I happen to see one that when I open it up and I see one kind of laying out, I'll make sure that it's not got a twisted umbilicus or something. Something's not going wrong. I
Mm-hmm.
haven't had any problems. I haven't had the first problem. Knock on wood. Thank God.
Okay.
After they come out of the egg, I'm throwing the eggs away as they come out. I don't like them rolling around in their own juice and stuff. They're already on the vermiculite, so I
Gotcha.
have to give them baths,
Yeah.
right? So after they all come out, I take them off the vermiculite and I let them swim around in about an inch and a half, 2 inches of water. I'll
Okay.
let them do that for warm water for a few minutes, and then I'll wipe each one of them down individually, and I put them in a separate tub that has moist paper towels on it. And I mean moist to the point to where, like, when you push on it, you can almost puddle up some water. And I put them
Gotcha.
back in the incubator, and they shed. Once they shed, I take them out of that tub and I put them into a different tub. Now this is a lot, but this works for me, right? And that's
Okay.
that's that's the important part. I put them into
Yep.
another tub or the same tub. It doesn't have to be a different tub or the same tub with the dry paper towels this time, because now they have shed, and it doesn't matter for their humidity to be 99% again, or 80
Mm-hmm.
high humidity, because they've shed.
Mm-hmm.
And I put a little bowl of water in there. So the thought process behind this is to get them drinking, because a lot of people believe, and it worked for me, so I'm a believer of it too, is they won't eat until they really know how their front end works, or how to drink water, and how to
Oh,
process stuff through their mouth. So I started
okay.
putting a little bowl of water in there with them. And I've seen some of them drink. I've not seen some of them drink, but I've seen all of them pee and poop, or pee, before they come out of the incubator, when I take them out. So from that point of them shedding, most people say, "Hey, all the babies shed out today. They get their own tubs." What I do is I leave them in there for another 7 days. From that day of them shedding, I do 7 days. And it's funny because I never thought about it, but kind of the principle behind this is the same thing that you do of, like, shipping, right? So being born and then immediately going in the shed, like, you're born and then your eyes immediately glaze over and you go in the shed. You didn't really have a time to process of what happened. Something just happened and you're going to be stressed out, right? So they're
Mm-hmm.
still stressed out after they shed, and now they need that adjustment period where they can see stuff. They can see me open the incubator. The lights come. I got the incubator on a timer, 12 on and 12 off, and they can see all this stuff kind of moving around. The same principle that applies to us getting in a snake, and we don't touch it for 5 or 6 days, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I've done that every clutch after my second clutch, and I'll tell you, I've had two snakes that have not eaten right out the gate from me.
Oh wow.
And I need to add it up. I don't know where I'm at this year, but I've got I'm on clutch 7 or 8, seven, I believe, that has hatched, and the least amount of snakes that I've had in a clutch is 3. Well, it was really 6 in that clutch, but it was my 3. But on average, I'm doing it's about 6 in the clutch. So well over 40 snakes that I've hatched, and only 2 have not eaten right out the gate for me.
Oh
So
wow.
it
That's
works good, and
yeah.
I'm
I'm
not
gonna
I'm
need
not
you
gonna
to
change it.
write that down and send that to me
Yeah,
because I might be doing that in this next clutch.
yeah,
Which I keep checking to see if she laying because she on day 50. But yeah, yeah, that success rate is amazing right there.
yeah, man.
Oh wow.
I'm loving it. I'm loving it. And like I said, I got that from if you go back, I can't remember exactly probably about a year at this point, a little
Okay.
bit over a year. Justin Kabelka had went to Miguel Garcia's Always Evolving Pythons facility and actually touched on this. And I have also spread this to other people. Cody Hopper's one of my buddies here.
Okay.
Him and his best buddy, best friend Jacob, breed snakes together, and they have done this, and he's saying it does work. Um,
Okay.
so I now again, it's not 100%, but it's better than man, bro. My first two clutches, I had like one out of both clutch that took the first time, and then it was
Yeah.
like before I could get two or multiple eating, it was like 2 or 3 weeks. Like it was weeks, and it was
Oh wow.
so stressful, and it wasn't fun.
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah.
not for babies. And I tell people all the time, like when they were like, "Yeah, my snake one," and I'm like, "How old is it?" And they're like, "Oh, it's a year or whatever." And I'm like, "Okay, no need to stress until you get
Yeah,
to
you're
like the
good.
8 months, you know." But you
Yeah.
talk about a hatchling, man,
Yeah.
what
It's not had a lot of meals, had no food. It only had that
man?
yolk that they
Yep,
absorb. That runs out in like a month. So you're
yeah,
like, come on, I need you to eat. You need to
exactly.
keep your strength.
Granddaddy Herp says, "What's going on, fam?"
What's up, Anthony? How you doing? Thanks for coming through. Appreciate it.
Okay, so
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna be trying this now.
yeah, and I'll talk to you about it, man. Any input I can give you on that, man, I'll definitely shoot it over to you.
Yeah.
It,
See,
it
people, you always can learn something new. No matter who you are, you can learn something new.
exactly,
Oh,
exactly. So, and I just learned, I guess I was completely wrong about this. Just one more exotic says the biak is a green tree python, not an emerald tree boa. I
yeah.
don't know the difference. I thought that they were the same thing. They look identical
Oh,
almost. So yeah,
okay.
but I haven't dived into them far enough yet. Again, this is like the ball pythons is my craft, and the other ones is just like I like to have fun with them. I don't like
Gotcha.
I can mess up and be okay with that, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
Hey, it
so
shows a great character that you can mess up and learn from it and grow.
for sure, for sure. Another question that I had: did you have anything else on that, man? I don't want to cut you off
No, no,
on that.
yeah, that's
Okay.
it. I'm
Um,
about to change my whole way of doing it now to see if it works a different way.
Uh,
Uh,
and something fun to maybe do. Well, it's not fun. I can't say that it'd be fun because if you have one that doesn't, that if you're doing it away and it's not working, and you continue to have not success with it, being that they are live living creatures, right? It's not really a fun experiment.
yeah.
As versus whether it was like just two inanimate objects that you had and you tried something on it. But it's still going to be an experiment if you completely switch it over and it starts to just bloom and
Mm-hmm.
blossom for you, right? Because if it does, then
Mm-hmm.
it works. I'm assuming you've had issues with this last season, feeding and stuff like that. Did you do the same way last
Yeah.
season?
I did it I actually changed the way I did stuff last season. I didn't use paper towels. I put them right on cocoa husk or
Yeah,
reptile chip or whatever one I use. I use Grow It, so no one
yeah.
knows that brand. So I try not to say it all the time.
So
But I
that's
put them right on that.
Yeah, that's actually another tip that I got from Justin Kabelka is to start on paper towel. And if you have trouble eater after you've done the 7 days of keeping,
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't have to be the incubator. I wanted to emphasize on that. The way you do it, where you pull them all out and you keep them in the tub, they do that too. I just didn't do the tub method because I wanted them to be in the incubator where I knew that the ambient temperature was a constant 90. It
Yeah.
was a constant, digestive heat that they needed, and that's why I decided to do that. And it's worked. So it's kind of like I took what he said, but I tweaked it a little bit, right? So you
Mm-hmm.
could still do what you do in the tub, but instead of shed day, separating them 7 more days after they shed, being in that tub together. Now, will that difference of them, the incubator 90 versus your ambient of 80 and hotspot of 89 or whatever you run,
Yeah.
make a difference? I don't know. Do you
It
run your
might.
incubator around 89, 90 degrees?
Yeah. 89, 88, 89.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Route that. Yeah.
So, my question that I was going to ask you is, what tools or resources can you put out here for the people watching and people watching this later, to be able to use to expand their knowledge on ball pythons, reptile keeping, in general? Do you
Um.
recommend?
Definitely YouTube, but
Yeah.
that's with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Whatever you learn, double research.
Yep.
Just like now,
Triple.
I've learned something. Gee, honestly, triple, because I just learned something and I'm changing the way I thought a method I was doing was working. I found another method that might work better, so I'm definitely going to adjust.
Yeah.
Reptile keeping is a continuously adjusting habit. Like
Yeah.
you're adjusting for your snake. You're seeing what that snake wants and needs and what it thrives in. You're always adjusting. That means you got to take time to get to know your animal or your
Yeah.
multiple animals, depending on if you're a breeder or are you just a collector. Um, Websites. Um, I have a local reptile store called Reptile Rapture. They put out little care sheets on how to take care of certain species of reptiles. You can check them out. Um, there's a whole bunch of information on the interweb. I don't know why I said it like I was a 6-year-old man, but there's a whole bunch of information
Oh
online.
man,
You can find stuff.
that's funny.
Just take your time and do your research. When you learn
Yeah,
something, don't take it as 100% fact. Make sure it's backed up by somebody else and somebody else and somebody else.
yep,
Don't drastically change anything you're already doing with your reptiles.
yes,
Do small bits so you see how they react to it. Because if they have a bad reaction, you want it to be something that's small that you
yep,
can change back quickly that doesn't affect them health wise.
yep.
So that's what
That
I would say.
that last bit is very very important. You always want to be able to pull back real quick if you have to, and if you just
Yep.
completely convert everything over. I've learned that the hard way a couple times. I've switched
Yeah.
and switched back. There's probably a couple people in this chat that can tell you I've switched my reptile room over as much as I changed my draws. Man, I'm telling you, it I have just gotten to the point to where you can probably say if you've came over in the past 3 weeks, it probably is similar. But before that, I don't know, man. It was hit and miss when you came over 1 week. These enclosures may be over there, and I just kind of played room, charade, not charades, room, mix it up, musical chairs, whatever you want to call it. I was real unsure of how I wanted to do everything. So, uh,
Understandable.
you see this question here, man? He said,
Yeah, I see that question. Probably as much as you've been called Eminem lately. I'm just playing.
uh,
No, real talk. Sick witted ball pythons literally hit me up today, and he was talking about a T-Pain video. Was like, I swear I thought this was you for a second, which I said, look, I'm okay with that if I can get that T-Pain money.
money,
100%.
right.
100%.
Yeah, yeah, man. I've been called uh, Lord, I just went blank. A Ti look-alike a lot, especially
Okay, I can see
my
that.
younger years.
I can see that. I would assume like they would call you Young J Cole when he was in his Get Fresh phase.
Yeah, no, I've never been called that. Raz B from Pretty whatever Pretty is it Pretty Ricky?
I think it's Pretty Ricky.
That
Yeah.
yeah, all types of
Okay.
anybody super light skinned, always licking the lips and biting the lips, that type thing. That's me. Yeah, when I got the glasses like actual glasses. It kind of took away from the Ti look. But when I put
Okay.
some shades on, yeah, it was kind of definitely close. Lil Bow Wow definitely been called that one. All right, but anyway, off of the celebrity lookalike questions or comments. So so any input, man? I know we've kind of touched on a lot, and do you have anything that we've talked about that maybe wanted to go back and touch on, or have anything in general that you'd like to input into the live?
I would say don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to
Yeah,
talk about something. A lot of people are scared to ask questions, especially on Facebook groups, because people just torch you.
yeah,
Maybe don't ask questions on Facebook, but don't not ask questions somewhere else just because you're worried about how people are going to respond. People are dicks. They're going to be dicks.
yeah,
But in the midst of those people, they're going to be nice people that will help you and will help you grow in this hobby and be a better reptile keeper. Look for those people. They're not hard to find. And when you do find them, they're friends for life. So definitely find them when you can.
yeah. Yeah, man, and even the literally the groups that say we won't judge you groups
They do.
will have some of the most people that will try to bash you and go on your head, man. It's crazy. I don't know what it is, man. I think that people get like some type of sensation or thrill out of throwing somebody major shade, man. And I try to be like There are some times where I feel like my emotions get the best of me, and I have to tell
Mm-hmm.
people like it is, but it's not unwarranted, right? These people have
Yep.
straight neglect, and then they act like they know what they're doing. Like, you shut up, don't tell me what to do, because I know that I can keep my iguana in a dog cage. I know that I can keep them, in whatever, I know, and I'm just telling them like, look, this is messed up, or whatever, but not the people that I don't go after those people heads that say, "Hey, what am I doing wrong here? I can't get it to do this, or I can't get it to eat, or how can I go about doing this? If I'm gonna breed, what should
Mm-hmm.
I do this?" Like, the people that are asking questions to get better, not
Yeah.
I'm selling this, um, 4 foot tegu, and it comes with a 2x3 enclosure, and it can't turn around. And I'm like, yo, bro, why are you do you know what you're doing? You know,
Yeah.
um, and then sometimes when I feel like, there was a comment in the local group the other day, and I see this chick often, saying, that she's looking for a bearded dragon, and then now she's selling a bearded dragon, and now she's looking for a bearded dragon, now she's selling a bearded dragon.
Mm-hmm.
So I can tell that there's a consistent trend of, I don't really know what I want to do. And she posed saying that she wanted a monitor. And I said,
Yeah.
yo, do you know respect? No disrespect, but do you know? Have you done your research on these things?
Yep.
Because they ain't no joke. And I think she got 4 or 5
Yeah.
kids. I ain't trying to call nobody out, but
True. Sometimes
when you
people need that hit of truth to really let them know what they're doing and slow down,
yeah,
unfortunately. And some
yeah,
people can't handle it the best way. Like, you're not
hmm,
trying to be mean, but I'm just trying to tell you the truth. And
yeah,
unfortunately, sometimes the truth hurts, to be
yeah,
honest.
for sure, for sure. All right, man. So this we've been going for two almost 2.5 hours.
Almost 2.5 hours.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's been a great podcast. But I've got some cold seat questions, I like to call them. Basically, some either or questions, and you can opt
Okay.
out to pass if you don't agree
Okay.
with either question, or you can say neither. Whatever. I mean, you can stop, and we can go off on another 20-minute rant. I don't have no time limit on these, man. Like I told you before, when we did your podcast, my wife does not expect me to see me tonight. I don't know if yours does, but I'm talking snakes. So I'm not gonna keep everybody here tonight, but after these cold seat questions, we'll bring it to an end. But if you want to, like I said, go off on a tangent about one of these because you feel passionate about it, brother, you do that. All right,
So before we get to questions, I did
go
want to
ahead.
say one thing.
Go ahead.
I treat social media as a tool.
Right.
I know a lot of people get upset that Facebook doesn't allow you to do this, or YouTube doesn't allow you to do this, and Instagram is shunning this. That's their platforms. Remember,
Yep.
that's not your platform. That's their stuff. You're
Yeah.
using their stuff. So
Yep.
use their stuff to help you, but don't take it personally when they tell you can't do certain stuff on it. Just
For
find
sure.
some platform you can do that stuff on.
Yep.
Social media is a tool. It only affects you when you let it affect
You
you.
let it. Yep.
100%. I hate
Exactly.
hearing people saying I need to take a break from social media. No, you
Yeah.
just need to learn how to manage your life better. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yep.
You let social media control that life. And
Yeah.
I'm not one to speak because I be on it too much. My wife look at me like, "Hey,
Yeah.
get off your phone." And I'll be like,
Yeah.
"Well, I gotta put my phone down."
Mine too.
Um,
She's like,
so
hey, I'm here. I'm here.
it's
And then
it's
she,
always a balancing act.
yeah. And then she found TikTok, and now we're just both sitting there TikTok. And look,
Oh God,
look.
TikTok is just a time suck in the
Yeah.
best way. I'm on
Yeah.
it all the time.
And then you get to that guy that says, hey, I know it's easy to go 2-3 hours on TikTok, but just take a break. And I'm like, look, I don't need you telling me when I need to get off here. Okay, go on somewhere.
I'm
He
a
says it so
grown man. Don't
nice.
be telling me
Yeah.
how to
He
TikTok.
says it so
I'm a
nice. Look,
grown
I
man.
know it's 3 a.m. and I got to work at 7. So did nobody ask you for that? All right. But
I hate the
anyway,
ones where people are like, so I was watching this TikTok at 3 a.m., which I
yeah.
probably shouldn't have been doing. But look at this. This is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, man. So just like I said, cozy questions. You pick one. I'm gonna ramble them off.
Okay.
So belly heat or back heat?
Belly heat.
Belly heat. Live or frozen? I think we all know this one.
Frozen is
Okay.
the preferred one.
Preferred. Okay. Got to do live when you have to. Got to do what you
Exactly.
got to do.
Snakes gotta eat.
So So I guess the next question go hands in hands. You buy feeders, don't breed them.
Yep, buy
I guess
feeders.
you did at one point, and you will. You ain't afraid to do it, and you know how to
No,
do it.
yeah, I
You
know how
just
to do
it
it. I
doesn't
did
work for
it.
you right now, right?
Wife said, "Shut that down. We're not
Yep.
having that."
Yep. Happy wife, happy life. We all know how that goes. The
Exactly.
ones with wives, the ones that
Exactly.
actually care about, being able to sleep in the bed and, have nice things in the snake room and not
Exactly.
some of
A
these
hundred
people,
percent.
they, they wonder they come home one day and they're like, man, all my stuff's messed up. You hear about these stories of people that like they're they cheated on their wife or something, and like their wife or boyfriend or whoever killed like some of their animals, and it's the most
Yeah.
awful thing ever. And
Yeah.
you think that it wouldn't happen, but it, like, literally, I know that it has happened. In my reptile keeping lifespan so far, at least 4 times, which is four too many.
Jesus.
You know,
Wow.
and I'm pretty sure of one in the bro group, James down in Texas. You know who I'm talking about? James, he always
No.
went live. Yeah. Yeah. His significant other ended up killing a couple of his snakes. And yeah, it
Oh,
was it was
what?
it was bad. Yeah, it was
I
bad.
didn't know that. Oh,
Yeah. I
wow.
don't I don't care what me and my wife at the end of the day goes through. She first of all, she's not going to touch the snakes, but even if she wanted to shoot them, she's not going to do that because it's life. You know what I mean? And it's
Yeah, it's
not.
an innocent animal. It had nothing to do
Yeah,
with us.
yeah, man. It's it's
Wow.
it's, it's
I didn't
messed
know
up.
that.
Yeah,
Woo.
yeah.
I don't
Um,
be in that group as much as I probably should. I need to
It
start like
no, no,
being
no, no,
active
no.
in it.
It
It gets crazy sometimes. I'm
like
like,
you got
hey, I
like
got
two
time for
days.
this.
You got like 2 days that you can be in there. Every other day is wild. And I talked about this the last podcast. I use Facebook and most social medias, and you kind of just touched on this, for what you need, and not to be like, oh, give me what I need and then I'm out, but like, it's
Exactly.
a platform. You use it how you want to use
Exactly.
it. I don't necessarily just want each one of y'all to see this so that I get views or but like, I literally want you all to interact with me and Gershon and ask questions and like enjoy the podcast. Like, saying that you enjoyed it, it brings me joy. So
Hmm.
it's a give and take on most things, but there are some things that we kind of have for our little need, and whether it be for the
Exactly.
post and to get out there in front of people, but we don't need to be in the limelight all the time because some of them is just wild. Same thing with these ball python groups. They like
Yeah.
to jibber jabber like they know everything, or want to beat you down for something that you post. And it doesn't have to be like that. So I kind of pick and choose. Where I want my battles to be. And Wednesdays, I'm not in that group because it gets wild.
It get wild on
Yeah,
Wednesdays. I
yeah,
used to post like all my comic book show reviews in there on Wednesday because it was
yeah,
whatever Wednesday. So I posted in
yeah,
there and then I dip out.
yeah,
It was getting
yeah.
crazy.
All right. So buy your hits or make your own hits.
Both.
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 Same. Same.
I'll buy a hit. I'll buy
Trustworthy.
100% hit.
Trustworthy breeder.
Exactly.
Trustworthy breeder.
I'll give somebody a chance too, because at a certain point somebody had to give me a chance. So I have no hard feelings giving somebody a chance that's new if they have like videos showing they stuff and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'll
Yep.
be
Yep. I
okay
was
with
say there
that.
has to be a disclaimer. I literally
Yeah.
have to see that what the parents was, some type of something. If you can't tell me, I don't have no pictures of them locking up or no type of I don't man, I have a pod, but I don't have any pictures of them.
Yeah.
No, no, no. You ain't got a picture of your snake, you ain't proud of it. That ain't happening.
Well, my
So
video. Oh, that what happened.
you went
Video
sideways
and did
for some
some.
reason.
I know. I seen that. There we go. We're
All right.
back.
But that's a good point, man. Somebody did give you a chance, and so you have to give them a chance. But at the same time, I emphasize on this: people need to post. We need to see what you got going on, even when you don't think that you have it going on, because that way you have a track record. People can go back and say, okay, this person actually does have a clown, or in it, and this pairing was possible because I seen them paired that, or that they posted, they paired it back in October or December, wherever. There is a track record of that happening, and you have a leg to stand on. Um,
True.
so we lost you on
Yeah.
video again, bro.
My
Okay, you working
stuff,
on it?
yeah, I think my phone died.
Oh,
So I'm gonna switch
got you.
to
Switching it over to the computer
my
camera.
computer camera. There we go, which is not the best and is
It's
all
all good.
foggy.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Do you need to wipe it off?
I do need to wipe it off.
Hey, so listen, whoever's in here still, I know some people's probably done went to bed at this point. Was it 10:30 my time? If y'all were watching last week's podcast, my video was foggy and not great. And before we came on, Gershon was like, "Yeah, man, what are you using to film?" And I'm like, "I'm using my laptop, but it's a Mac, so it needs to have a good camera." And he was like, "Yeah, I use my phone. I'll shoot you up with set you up with the program that I use, and you can do that." And I was like, "Cool, man." And he was like, "And have you wiped your camera on your computer off?" And I said, "No." And I did it, and voila, what do we have here? Like clear footage. I mean, it looks like night and day from my last one. I'm gonna tell you. My wife was like, "I don't know what was wrong with your feed, but it looked like yours was distorted as all get out." And I was like, "Well, that's crazy because Rob was using my old laptop and I was using the Mac. You know, I bought this computer just for the business."
Exactly.
So that was crazy. Appreciate it, Kevin. Great info, gentlemen. He
Thanks,
says,
Kevin. Appreciate it.
all right, so paper or cocoa? Or
Cocoa.
what'd you call it?
Cocoa or it's grow it. It's
Grow
it's
it.
it's actually like a plant thing, but it's cocoa stuff for growing plants, but I use it for snakes. Works just as good as reptile chip, whatever all the other ones. I don't even know their names,
Yeah,
to be
bro.
honest with you.
I use cocoa block, but I would have, if you would have told me to guess, I would have said you use Repti chip.
Okay.
From
Yeah,
your
it looks the
videos,
same.
from your post, I would have said Repti chip all the way.
And the thing is,
Go
what
ahead.
were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say cocoa blocks is pretty distinguishable because of the bigger chunks, and it's a lot
Mm-hmm.
cleaner in my opinion. It doesn't have as much dust, and that's why I
Mm-hmm.
love it, and that's why I use it. But go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the stuff I use actually is only like $12 a brick.
Or
So
10 pound
it's
brick. Okay.
is it 10 pound? I think it might be. I just bought some today and I left it in the car. I think it's either 5 pound or 10 pounds. So yeah, it lasts
So on a
me.
scale of how to big, is it like this big or this big?
It's like about that big
Okay, yeah, that's a 5 pound brick.
thickness. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So 5 pound. So yeah, it lasts me about 2 months. One block lasts me 2 months for
In all
all
your tubs?
42 snakes. Yeah. Yeah.
What?
Unless I do like a full clean of
Oh,
that
okay, for
day
spot cleaning. I
for
got you.
spot cleaning, and
To
I
change
I
out
usually
all your
change it
tubs.
out. I change it out every time a snake sheds. They get a fresh
Right,
tub. Every time they shed, they get a fresh tub because usually when they shed, they poop, so get a
right.
fresh
Yep,
tub.
yep.
Yeah,
So, uh, would you say that you are a quality or quantity breeder?
I am. I'm honestly not 100% sure because you kind of have to have a lot of snakes to do
Great
this,
answer. That's a great
but
answer.
you want quality snakes.
Yeah,
So I know I'm producing quality snakes, but I am gathering a lot of snakes to be able to do that. So I'm
yeah,
picking the best examples of the morphs I am looking to get
for
in
sure.
my price range. You have to throw that asterisk in it because
Yeah,
if I was getting the best snakes, I would be top tier. I ain't got that kind of
right.
money.
For sure.
I'm getting the ones in my price range that have the best example of that morph.
Yeah,
That's my goal.
yeah. So you're kind of dipping into both.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that, from the outside looking in. I don't. I know a lot of your snakes by name, matter of fact. But I wouldn't pin you as um uh a mass producer. I don't.
Okay.
A lot of the pairings that I see and that we've talked about, I do see a lot of consistency in the genes, and I see that you're working towards a certain goal.
Hmm.
So there's a lot of times where I see like people send me what they're pairing and stuff like that. And who there's probably a lot of breeders out there that every single parent that they have, they're like, oh man, I can't wait to hit it. One of these is what I want to hit in these. One of these is what I hit it. And
Hmm.
I'm not saying that that's not the case, but there are a lot of
Yep.
breeders that are kind of like all over the place. When you have, there's, I don't know how many recessives it is, but when you have like 12 recessives in your collection and you only have 30 snakes or let's say under 50, you're kind of
Hmm.
all over the place, right? What
Hmm.
do you got? Albino, clown, Axanthic, monarch,
Uh,
and what else?
so I had albino clown and xanthic, monarch. I have lavender albino,
Yeah.
pied, and to be named recessive
To be
tomorrow.
named. Okay. Yeah.
So yeah,
And
I'm
every
in
single one
that
of those,
wheelhouse.
I mean, I named off most of them by hand because I know the projects that you're going in. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying. Um, that type of deal makes me feel like, although yes, you do have to have project pushers, and I have those too. I have those pairings that if I do produce this one right here, I may keep it, but for the most part, these are all going to be sold because
Yep.
I need those to buy ARS. I need those to
Yep.
buy a blackhead Mystic Ringer Gene Het Hypo from the Hypo Queen, and I can't pull it out of this fund or whatever the case may be.
Hmm.
I also need those to be able to buy my hypo granite berm from California and have them shipped in, no issue, because I mean, this is an expensive hobby. We're
Yes.
not trying to hide this from anybody. Everybody knows that. I have plenty of people who message me like, "Hey, man, what are you selling this for? What should I sell this for? What are these going for?" And I'm like, there's money in this, man.
Yeah.
And a lot of people get all up in arms when you start talking about money and stuff. And
And
I've
I
actually got a
like
guest.
that people are starting to talk about money. Like
Yeah,
Miguel's talking about money. Bob Vu.
yeah.
I'm actually about to adjust some things that I'm doing on what he spoke about. I'm
All right,
going to,
Bob Vu
yeah,
specifically. Yeah.
yes, he was on Morph Mixology's podcast, and he talked about he has his butter snakes, his snakes that just make money for
I
him,
watched that one. That was a
albinos.
great podcast. Great
And I'm
podcast.
about to adjust to where the albinos I do have, they're going to go into just albino breedings because I get
Yep.
asked all the time, do you have albinos? Do you
Yep.
have bells? So I'm going to
Yep.
start producing those because they
Yep.
are snakes that sell fast but sell for a decent value. They're
Yep.
not too expensive, but not they're not too less expensive for you to take the time to make them.
Yeah.
And they will fund my breed, fund my rats, my
Yep.
racks, and have a little extra money in my pocket for some other things I might get into.
For
So
sure.
I am adjusting that because, like we said, this is also a business. It's a hobby
Yeah.
that we're trying to make into a business. So I'm
One
trying to
hundred
be more
percent.
business oriented with it. I've not taken any business classes, so I am learning on the fly from
Yeah.
people that are already in the business and are successful in it.
For sure. Got to make it fun, man. And I feel
Yep.
like if you get too, like, I don't know. I'm not a number person. I'm definitely not a math person. When I get too much into numbers, like I hate it every time I got to sit down and go through. Okay, what have I sold? And let me put it in so I can have it ready for
Yeah.
the tax accountant and all this other stuff. I hate it, but it has to be done. It's all part of the process and running a
Mm-hmm.
business, along with the professional aspect of things. I tell people all the time, I'm not going to sell you no crap. I'm not going to sell you, or I'm not going to send you off with the animal that I do not believe is good, and I will stand behind my product. I
Yep.
will stand behind my animals to the T. When I produce them and I say that they're this or whatever, I'll make it right if I'm wrong, and it is what it is. Um, But and that's just how you have to be. There's a lot of people who
Yep.
throw around the business name. I'm a business, this and that. If you don't carry yourself as a business, you're in a business in my eyes. You're just a person trying
Exactly.
to pretend like you know what you're doing and you're not. Um, so and hats off to you, man. You're doing your thing. Like I said, I can't say enough about you, man. You constantly, letting people know what's going on, and people can say what they want to say about, like you said, bells sell good, and they put money back into the business.
Hmm.
Albinos sell good, they put money back into the business. People can call you what they want for that, but at the end of the day, nobody can take away the fact that you have videos of all of your snakes, them eating very regularly, them being clean bedding very regularly. All of that is on proof. If you
Yeah.
want to go after somebody, you go after the people who, I've been in some facilities and I'm like really disgusted at like how they keep their animals. Um
Wow.
and they're just laughing it up about how much money they make,
Mm.
I ain't gonna name drop none, but there's
Yeah.
some here that are big, and make good money, and
Yeah.
it's nasty.
That's hard to
So
hear.
yeah, and that's the thing about it, man. Is like I have no problem with anybody, doing it as long as they're doing it right, and you know, giving the animal what's owed to it, right?
Yep.
So, last question, and I got to throw this one in here specifically for you: Ultra Male or Monarch?
As of right now, I'm on the Monarch because that was the first one I got into. But I
Yep,
do like both of them. Did you just
yep.
see somebody hash out a Sunset Ultra Male?
Yes, yes,
That
and I was
thing
like,
looked
ooh,
amazing. Oh, I
yes,
was like,
yes. Don't
uh,
have sunset money either, though. That's the
nope.
unfortunate part. I definitely don't have sunset money. I
So
mean,
that's one of them. I
shoot.
would buy a 66% pos het and try to
Yes.
prove it out. I will make sure it
Again,
has a codom with it just so
yes,
I can have
that very
something.
important. As long as it has
But
another codon.
and I would be hopefully a condom that I don't have in my collection. So I would at least get a new gene in my collection. But yeah, I
Yeah,
would buy a 66% pos head and try to prove it out.
yeah. I'm the same
Definitely.
way, man. I sunset and what the other one we was talking about there, zebra gene. I'd buy
Oh
66%
yeah.
zebra. I
Yeah.
fell in love with that, man. I
Yeah.
absolutely fell in love with that. So, well, man, we're almost 3 hours in, 2 hours and
Yo.
42 minutes, and I don't care. I'm not care about the time. I just thought it was funny. Wanted to put that out there. At this point, I'm done with my questions, and I think that we've put a lot of information and jam packed a lot of stuff into
Yeah.
this time. Do you have anything else that you'd like to add to the live at all?
No, just thanks for having me on, man. Appreciate it. This
Yeah,
was
man.
fun. This was a good
Absolutely.
conversation. I
Absolutely.
actually didn't think it would be like a very, how should I say, it was like informational stuff like that, and I
Yeah.
liked it. Like it was way more informational about specific stuff, but still broad stuff that's good information out there. And I think this is going to be a
Yeah.
good source for people to look back on and learn some stuff and pick up some new good habits.
Yeah. And that's kind
Yeah.
of the theme that I wanted to go with this cold blooded talks podcast is to kind of highlight different species and ways of keeping and
Hmm.
um, well, not unfortunately for me, but some people may not like to hear it. But ball pythons are going to be one of the main things that we talk about. Let's face it, folks, that is like one of the fastest growing
Yeah.
reptiles in the hobby, and most people are breeding ball pythons if they're in the reptile hobby. Even if they're
Yeah.
not, they're breeding retics. I mean, still those people are still breeding ball pythons.
Yeah.
So that will be a main focus, and a lot of my viewers and followers obviously like ball pythons, but uh, that is kind of what I wanted to do, is to be able to just, even if it's one thing. I mean, I swear, if out of 2 hours and 45 minutes, one person learned one thing, it was worth it, because I had a
Yeah.
good time,
Yeah.
and I learned something. I before the live even started, I learned that you have to wipe your dang lens, because or else you're gonna look like you don't have a good camera on your expensive laptop.
Yeah, you got to
So
get you a microfiber wiper. I got one of
yeah,
those. Every
yeah,
time before I shoot a video, I wipe the lens off. Every
yeah.
time.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Thanks,
have to
Anthony.
use that.
Thanks for coming through.
Yeah. Thanks everybody in the chat. And thanks for coming on, Gershon, man. It's always great talking to you, brother. I've enjoyed our conversation in live and answering these people's questions.
Yeah.
And
Fun time. Fun
April
time.
says thank you for the words about feeding the babies.
No
Um,
problem.
you guys have been very in the comments today,
Yeah.
April. I'm
I
sure
sent
Marty's
April
too.
a friend
Yeah,
request on Facebook.
yeah.
Do they have a business name yet? Or are they still working on
They
that?
don't. They don't. But they're good
Okay.
people. They are
Okay.
really good people. They will be soon. Like I said, they're coming up with the reptile room, or they're
Okay.
constructing it right now. I think that
Okay.
they just really need that visual, and then it's going to click for them. And I told them, I said, look, there's no rush in it. I launched everything at once. I had
Yeah.
all my ducks in a row, and I was like, boom, 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 and kind of came out of nowhere to a lot of people being like, what's Morph Nation? What is this?
Yeah.
So and to
Trust,
know what I was talking about.
I
Yeah,
slowly launched stuff. My YouTube name was whatever my email address was at the time.
yeah,
For the first year of me actually posting videos on YouTube, I didn't
yeah,
have GP snakes in the first year of me posting stuff on YouTube.
right.
So take your time,
Yep,
but don't take too much time.
yep.
Like
Yeah, you
it's
definitely want
never
to get it out there.
it's never going to be perfect. So
Yeah,
don't try to make it perfect. Just make
yep,
sure you put it out there.
yeah,
That's what
yeah.
I
I mean, people.
learned.
Yep,
People are always like, I can't wait for the perfect moment. I got to make sure everything's perfect. If you do that, you're never going to put something out because
yeah,
nothing's going to ever be perfect.
yep. And people understand if if you
Yep.
come on as something and then you say, hey, we decided to change, and
Yep.
and nobody's there's no judge on here. I've encouraged April and Marty to get their name, get some social media started, and start posting pictures. It's only going to help them in the long run to establish a fan base,
Yep.
and people who just know what you got. I have people message me all the time, and even random stuff like. I had one guy thought that I bred retics because I posted a picture of my retic, and I'm like, "Oh man, it's just a pet. I don't breed retics, nor do I plan to."
Mm-hmm.
But it's all good, good, traffic, right?
Exactly.
So
It gets your
it's
name out there. It gets people into
yeah,
you.
yeah,
It's
it's
definitely
great
important.
stuff.
And this business is a lot of word of mouth.
Yeah,
So you need to be in people's mouths.
yeah,
That's
for
just
sure.
the fact.
For sure. Well, if you guys do not have any more questions for Gershon in the chat, we're going to end it here. And again, I thank all of you all for taking the time out tonight and spending a couple hours with us as we chit chat and have a cold blooded talk about reptiles that we love to keep and keep because we love. So, y'all have a good night, and we'll see y'all next week. I've
All right.
got, crap. I've got Fabled Creations. My boy Mike Kano is going to be on here. I'm sorry, I just completely blew that up. I have Stephen Pecor with Bourbon Ball Pythons coming on next week. I'm trying to get Mike Kano with Fabled Creations to come on after I get back from vacation.
Okay.
I'm sorry, guys. It's late. I gotta get up here. I can't believe I just messed it up like that. I had a great live. Had a good time here, man. I appreciate you coming again, Gershon.
No
Have a good
problem. Thanks
night.
for having me.
Um,
Greatly appreciate it. Appreciate
yes, sir.
everybody in the chat, all the questions. It was fun. Fun time.
Absolutely. Well, have a good night, man. We'll see you later.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Well, I guess I didn't end the live stream, but while we're here, let's play that fire intro one more time. This is going to be on my YouTube videos as the intro. Y'all have a good night.